Ambient noise, yeah.
So now you're grabbing some band lab clips.
Now for me that would also be something where I would use like volume automation and like bring that from the bottom, like bring it in and then bring it back out. Kind of.
And these are the kinds of sounds you can stretch. With this AI, like stretching it actually can be cool.
Oh, that was perfect for the interlude too.
Ends it right in the right
I
spot.
didn't even notice 40. I didn't even realize the texture faded out at the interlude until it happened. I'm like, wait a minute.
Sometimes you just, it was just meant to be that way.
And now it's time for talking shh. IT.
with Glenn and Tony.
And me.
How's it going, man? How you been?
It's going good. We got a full list of stuff we've been checking out on YouTube. Some great resources and artists.
Mhm.
We've got create your own AI animated characters. This
Nice.
one you're gonna love, Glenn. It
Mm-hmm.
uses
Absolutely.
that Google collab.
Very cool.
We got fix your pitch in 10 minutes. Vocal
Yep.
lesson for all you singers out there, and I really dig this YouTube site. She's
Mhm.
got a shit ton of killer videos.
Yep. New resource that I found just recently.
Yeah, that's
New to
a
me.
good
New to
find.
me.
We got active melody with acoustic rhythms, creative ways to fill the space, acoustic rhythm guitar ideas, Guitar Lesson EP509. He's another one with some killer guitar tutorials.
Indeed.
Sam Jam Guitar, we got a double header there. The best way to learn arpeggios on guitar and how to use them. And one we've been talking about, like ear training.
Yep.
Definitely going to be focusing on that interval ear training for guitar in 7 minutes.
Nice.
Using song examples to achieve relative pitch.
Yeah, that one I think was really important because that, even if it's not those particular examples that you use, there are songs that are familiar to you, and you'll recognize that once you recognize the intervals, you can put them in the same principle into practice using songs that you already like. And again, I think it's great when the way they did it just like that. But you'll see, once you recognize those intervals, you'll start to recognize them more often, and that helps you to recognize what progressions are. Because if you can recognize where we went from here to here, then we went from the C to the A. That's from the 1 to the 6 right there, most likely. So that's being able to recognize that. You might be like, oh, I know we're going to go to the 4 next, and then the 5 after that. So it helps with recognizing where the band is probably going to go when you try to jump in and play with people, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, and his guitar lessons in music theory are so good, we couldn't eat just one.
Yeah, that's right. Got to come back for seconds. And I don't think we featured any of those 3 on the show before. So these will be new features and new finds for the for our collection of good resources on the internet to check out for everything.
Yeah, these are new subscriptions for us.
Yep.
Oh, and we are going to take a look at a really cool new instrument. In fact, that's what we're probably going to be starting with.
Nice.
Tim Meeks is the inventor of the Arpeggi, and Martin Logan Speakers has a introduction on how he built it, and then
Nice.
we've also got one from the Arpeggi YouTube site on playing the basics of playing it.
And you can kind of see some of it right there. That's a 16 string you can see with a G16 up in the corner there, and you can see kind of the layout as far as like 3 white ones, 3 black ones, like all next to each other, the markings, and you can see how many strings. There's 16 strings all the way across. So very interesting instrument.
Yeah, it really is like a guitar and a piano had a baby.
Yeah, exactly. And we have another one we'll have to talk to later, Tony, that I checked out over in Pennsylvania the other day for another night. But it's a similar idea to this as far as being a similar kind of a mix between a guitar and a piano, but done in a digital way. And it's pretty cool the way they have it laid out.
Oh, you had me at digital.
Yeah.
And we've also got a special making of. Jon Conner is an artist that on our Monday show, he was on a couple weeks ago. You can check that out on our YouTube/Angified and get to know this artist. He is he's an inspiration. Like, this is how artists should approach their video production. You write a great song, you should think about making a great video, and we're going to see how he put together this amazing video for this song, Glory.
Awesome. It's going to be an excellent video.
Yeah, we've got him locked and loaded. Ooh, I think your air conditioner's revolting again.
It's yelling at me over here. It's yelling at me, and I was sitting here trying to yell at it. I think the remote battery is dead, though. So like I was trying to tell it to shut up, but it wasn't listening.
You got a remote for your air conditioner?
Oh, it's fancy.
You are
like
fancy.
The best part is that it's just it's like 2 arm lengths that way, but it's just awkward to get to because the drums and the keyboard and everything is all right in between me and where I need to get. But it's off now. So I'll probably start sweating in about 30 seconds. But that's okay. It sounds a lot quieter now, right? Nice and quiet here. But yeah, we have a couple of, like we said, a lot of videos for tonight. Great job, Tony, putting all that together for the ones that we have there. And we're going to be, like I said, we have 2 from one person. We have a bunch of new people that we haven't checked out before, but these are all excellent principles and good demonstrations of different things. So we can get right to it with a video, or we can start with anything else that you like. Up to
Yeah,
you.
I'm actually loading up our. There she is.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the harp G that we're talking about here. Let's bring that over.
I was thinking of a cross, like almost a surfboard, almost an ironing board when it's set up on a stand, is the way it looks. But it looks like, similarly like played like a piano, but with a whole bunch of strings. Like you can see the playing position there and how it's just so many different rows of things, but it looks like it's very easy to navigate as well.
And it is kind of like those lap guitars, except they're playing them vertical.
Mm-hmm. And just what they did in the demonstration that I saw a brief demonstration of it, and it blew me away how flexible it was in terms of the different sounds you can get with it.
And the way that they get played is very unique. I mean, it really is like a keyboard almost.
Yeah, I want the 24-string one.
I want them all.
Yeah.
And this is the video actually we're going to load in a second that he explains, like, why he built it.
Nice.
And again, very inspiring to see a musician who has that engineer mind to build a new instrument.
Mm-hmm.
Always inspiring to me.
Oh yeah. And that's the thing, is also being unafraid to step outside the box. Like, the guitar has been around for a long time. The bass has been around for a long time. The piano has been around for a long time. It's like some people be like, why mess with a good thing? And like, this is a good reason why you mess with a good thing, because it's taking elements that you like from each, the navigation of piano, the crossover between the piano and the strings to get people who play piano more comfortable with maybe playing guitar or other stringed instruments, and the same the other way. They can kind of, a string instrument player can see it more in the context of a piano, the way it's laid out, and the way you're using the hands, and the way you're not plucking and strumming with 2 different hands, but you're using both hands to hammer notes at the same time. So I really like the concept behind it, and the execution looks like it came off fantastically.
Yeah, and it really does have a unique sound, which if you're going to make a new instrument, that's what you want.
Yeah, and it covers all the bases too. Like there's one moment in the video that I really liked where it gets to a spot where the whole band, like I guess they have a whole band that was there in the room, and like all of them like hit the instrument in different spots at different times. So like somebody's down in this section playing a bass line, somebody's over here playing a chord, somebody's over here at the high part with like a distortion pedal on it going like getting something over there. It was pretty cool to see how you could just have people surround the instrument, and just everybody gets there's room for everyone to be doing something the way the instrument is laid out.
Yeah,
very cool.
When you can share your instrument.
Yep.
Hey, we got a piano player in the house. Welcome, Crook. And
nice.
If you studied classical and jazz, then you're gonna love some of the shit we look at.
Oh yeah.
I'm a classical guy myself. That's where I started.
Absolutely. I played classical piano as well, studied for a bunch of years, but that was so long ago, and then I didn't play for many years, and I didn't get back into it until, what did I say, about 15 years ago maybe. Started getting back into it when I bought my bass, and got my 5-string bass and my guitar and my piano, and my drums are over here. So I do a little bit of everything now, but it's kind of, it's all, the piano stuff has just started coming back to me. So like I can start playing some of the classical pieces I knew from back then, but jazz was something I always was interested to start studying, but it's nothing that I have locked down yet. Like I couldn't just sit in
here
doing jazz as something, but I'm surrounded by people who can do jazz. So like my cousin Jeff, he'll just sit down at the piano and be cranking out anything. And he and a guitar player we had at one point, Ryan, the two of them could just go back and forth and just go into a song, and they're locked right in. Nice. Sorry to hear about your father there. Bass guitarists are always welcome, though. I mean, that's one thing is like you go to a jam, and when I went 2 weeks ago to an open jam as a bass player, I played with my band that was there, and then I got asked to join 3 other bands that were playing after that. So it's like, as a bass player, you're always in demand when it comes to that stuff. If you're playing and just kind of hanging out, doing your thing.
Oh, he recognizes the AI art.
Yep.
And If you like AI art, that's another thing you're going to find here. Matter of fact, one of our episodes tonight is going to show how to take AI art and incorporate AI voice to make AI video. You'll like it.
Yep, that's what you get 4 of the panels there.
Yeah,
double the AI art.
We'll be getting to that in a little bit too.
Haven't checked out Playground yet, actually. We did. We had talked about Midjourney, and this was a Google collab that I joined into to look at this stuff here. That was working from. Was it the VQgan? I think that's what it was. The opening page from that. I'm gonna have to go back to that though. I haven't checked it out recently, and there are so many different ones. I just got an invite to something from Google One. I'd have to remember. Bard, I think it was called. I got an invite to that, but it was an invite to join the waiting list for Bard. So when a spot opens up, they'll let me know. But that could be cool.
Nice.
It's happening, Zen. But yeah, I've been interested in
Zen.
Yeah.
Everything's Zen.
Everything's Zen. And I've been interested in, AI art for a long time, and just, the fact that it's been coming to the foreground, and the fact that it's become so easy that, all these, I was able to generate over time, just, come up with a prompt just from random thinking about whatever, or, thinking about the colors that I wanted to have, or the texture or whatever. For some of the prompt stuff, like for this stuff that we're looking at here, I had gone to a sci-fi fantasy art top 10 artists thing, and it wasn't what didn't have to be the top 10 in the world or whatever, just I wanted to see examples of styles of these different artists. So I just started making artwork and saying in the style of, and then some of these would come out because I could then just describe a scene, give it a specific artist or 2 different artists, and have a blend of styles to get a bunch of these. And it was just very cool the way that they create them so fast. They come out very cool like this. You don't have to make them very large. You can just make small ones like this and just kind of tile them together.
And upscaling them. Like one of the things with AI is they're getting better at upscaling and sharpening. So like with AI upscaling, you can take a tiny little picture and now you can really expand it and still get good results.
Yeah. And the thing is also using ChatGPT now as another, you can use these AIs together, where you can use ChatGPT to help you design a prompt, for example, to then bring that over and use in any of these AI art programs. And then, you can kind of feed ChatGPT. You can tell ChatGPT, hey, if I have this art, this image here, what kind of a prompt would you need to give to come up with that image? And you could take that prompt and then feed it to the AI image artwork. It won't necessarily be identical, but it'll help you speak the language, so to speak, of the of what the algorithms would need to see to give those results. And it's all in how you use your prompts. Absolutely.
And I think they do utilize ChatGPT in the example we're going to watch.
Yes. Yeah. And
the
one I just watched earlier too. Yeah.
Before we get to that, we're going to take a look at the harp G, what we were just talking about, and the creator of it and his inspiration for making it.
Excellent. Very cool.
So let's check that out.
When I tell people that what I do for a living is make this musical instrument that I invented, it usually makes them smile, and they have 1,000 questions. There's probably 500 arpeggios around the globe in 30 different countries. The easiest explanation is that it's a cross between a piano and a guitar. It has characteristics of both. When I was younger, right, I wanted to be a songwriter, a performer. The truth is, I'm a pretty average musician. I'm not a virtuoso. But you know what? I'm a pretty good designer, as it turns out. I've always searched for the perfect analogy. Skiing has been around for a long time. One day, people started using snowboards. That's what the arpeggio is like. We're not here saying, hey, the piano's broken, the guitar's broken, you shouldn't play those instruments, this is newer and better. It's not that. It's more like, this is different. It has its own character. It has its own voice. But, you know, you still get on the ski lift and you go up to the top of the mountain and you go down a different way. Try it. If you have fun with it, you might stick with it and it might change your life. Sometimes a customer will call with questions and they'll ask me, I'm trying to figure out what I would do with the Arpeggi. And I stop them right there and say, you're asking the wrong question. That's not the right question. It's where is the Arpeggi going to take you where you weren't going to go before?
2, 3, 4.
I think about my place in the world of music a lot. When it comes to a performance of any kind, there's so many people that are involved to enable that. My job is to make an outstanding instrument. I absolutely feel when a Arpeggi performance occurs that we're part of it. That's what keeps me going. I think ultimately why I did the Arpeggi is because I wanted to go down a road less traveled. When I created that pathway for myself, I also ended up creating that pathway for a lot of other people. And some of them are famous, and some of them might become famous later, but they're all on that path. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Oh, it gives me tingles to watch musicians like that. I love that scene where the 4 of them are around it. And
My favorite part, yep.
yeah, that makes me want one even more. Like, that's a band instrument.
Yeah, and that's the thing is now, we're not sponsored by them, but I mean, if they wanted to send us one, I would love to evaluate that and you know, give a full episode dedicated to like checking those out, because that reminds me of a lot of the principles of Chapman stick, for example, and how it kind of breaks out of the mold of, excuse me, of a guitar or a bass, but it allows you to do things that are done on both in different ways. And just the fact that you can just activate everything by tapping, that's nothing new, but having that many strings laid out and the way they're laid out also was also key. The fact that you can very easily visually see what you need to see no matter what key you're in. You can just slide right where you need to. That's
and
very
it gives
cool.
you a totally new way of playing songs you might know, like the classical music that they were playing there. Approaching it from that kind of instrument gives you a new appreciation for the song.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Hey, we're glad you stopped by too, Crip. Anytime anybody gets, you know, just that little flash from seeing anything like that, even if it's just that the thing was very cool and you would check it out or show it to somebody else later, like that kind of thing is why we're here. I mean, we love that.
Oh, you should have seen the guitar we looked at a couple weeks ago, man. I'm still craving it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We check out some cool stuff. I saw some other things too, like one that was half fretless bass. So it was like 3 fretless strings and then 4 regular strings after that, so you can get that fretless sound, but also have the you know, the regular. So it's like 7 strings. It was already like a very fat neck, but like the neck looked different because there's no frets on the top 3, you know, top section, but there were on the bottom. I was like, wow.
Best of both worlds.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that was Marcodi, right? Was the brand on the instrument there?
Yep, Marcodi, and we're going to take a look at another video that shows the playing basics of it, because it does look like it's a complicated instrument to play, but I think once you get the gist of it, if you are a guitarist or you are a keyboard keyboardists, it sort of makes sense.
Another thing to watch for is the just intervals, because like we were talking about previously, like knowing a 1 and a 5, 1 and a 3, like and just knowing those two, like those two intervals, like already gets you started. So on the instrument itself, if you can kind of eye out what that is going to be, once you have it in one key, you can just slide, and then you're doing the same thing. And it looks like it'd be pretty pretty straightforward.
You get the benefit of like the piano claw and the benefit of the sliding around like a guitar claw.
Yep, and the benefit of being able to play, even if you don't use your thumbs at all, which you can, but I mean, that's already 8 that you can play simultaneously, if you just use all your regular fingers. But you could be, using 10, you get everything going. Very cool.
Shit, I'll find a way to get my toes in there.
and speaking of that, like this actually shows more of the technique as well, I believe, in this video, where you get some of the, when you have distortion on, like, you can get real guitar bend sounds and everything, and you can also do, all that kind of stuff. So we'll see what they've got with the demonstration video.
Yeah, let's take a look at the Arpeggi playing basics.
Yeah.
Arpeggi.
Yeah.
Arpeggi.
Arpeggi is what I would say, like as in like arpeggio. I would say arpeggi. Like that.
Arpeggi.
That'd be me. Very cool.
All right, here's the basics.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm Walter, and in this video we'll be looking at the Arpeggi note layout and some playing techniques. So let's get to it. First, let's have a look at the Arpeggi note layout and tuning. The strings are tuned by the whole tone, so when you play through every string on one fret, you get the whole tone scale. As on any fretted instrument, the frets take you higher by the semitone. When you look at, for example, this area here that starts with a C, you will find that it's very similar to the keyboard. Here's your C, C sharp, D, D sharp, and E. When you look at this area right here that starts with an F note, you might see that it also resembles the keyboard. Here's your F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, and B natural. The way the Arpeggi is tuned makes the chromatic scale a piece of cake to play. Let's have a look at the C notes. They are marked with a hole in them. The C, the same C, another one, another C, and another C. The unisons on the Arpeggi fretboard help you to find a very comfortable playing position for playing scales or chords. Here's a good example. The D major chord looks like this. But the playing position isn't too comfortable. We can use the unisons to our advantage by simply finding another D note for the root, which is located right here. So when you play it with your thumb, you find a very comfortable playing position. The same goes for scales. One way to play the C major scale is like this. But using the unisons on the Arpeggi fretboard, we can find a much more comfortable playing position. This allows you to play as fast as you like. The super sensitive piezo pickups on the Arpeggi give it a very wide dynamic range. Since the Arpeggi fretboard is tuned without exceptions, it is really simple to transpose anything anywhere you like. Here's an example of a major chord: F major, C sharp major. Notice the pattern is exactly the same: G major, E major. The same goes for transposing scales: A major, C sharp major. As we're already transposing scales and chords with ease, we can actually transpose any piece of music. Here's a riff in A minor. F sharp minor. One of the most important features on the Arpeggi is the electronic muting, which means when you strum the open strings, there is no sound. This means the Arpeggi only plays the notes you want to play. Once you tap the string to the fret, your desired string pickup will activate. Simply tapping the strings to the fret is one of the more common playing techniques. As with any string instrument, you can also vibrato the strings. If you wish to unleash your inner guitarist on the Arpeggi, you can always bend the strings. Sliding the Arpeggi strings is also a very cool feature. Once you press down a note or a chord, you can also strum the strings. The numerous unisons on the Arpeggi fretboard allow you to play repeated pedal notes. Similar to any other string instrument, there's also an option of playing harmonics.
Marconi.
Oh, the
Crazy.
possibilities, man.
And it comes, yeah, I mean, it's with, let's see, let's do it that
Well,
way.
you see so many potential for
and there's your-
different styles.
And your little chord booklet right there, exactly. It was plugged
Yeah.
into an amp there, yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, they're gonna have to come up with their own kind of tablature for that, because
Mhm.
you can't really show traditional tab. And
One thing is that just kind of any of those chord shapes, if you just have the shape and then just wherever the root is, like you can just transpose essentially from there, is what it looked like to me.
yeah, and they made a
But
good
very
point
cool
about
layout.
like the transposition with it. It's designed for transposition.
Yeah. And just designed for, to me, again, trying to remove impediments between you getting the music out. It's just wherever your fingers touch, you're making music. And just like you were saying, you could totally play that. Just as soon as he described it, I could totally sit down and make that work. Knowing that it's just, one note over, like as you go from the bottom to the top, and then knowing that you get the really fat strings down there, getting you those bass sounds, and then the higher sounds are going to be the opposite corner. Once you kind of get that down, then it does look like it would be very easy to, just start making music very easily.
Yeah, and the part that really sounds so sexy when he was talking about the vibrato and the bends and the slides,
Oh yeah,
like this is where
the
I'm
bends are
thinking,
what to
like,
get everybody. Yeah.
this thing could be a beast with blues and anything where like sliding around like that lends itself. And I always wished I could do that with a piano, like
Mhm.
get that little bit of vibrato or bending, but
Mhm.
pianos don't bend naturally very well.
It's tricky, and this one is even worse because this one has a button. So it's not even like choosing how far to go with it. It's a button. So it's either you're hitting the button or you're not.
Yeah, well, with a string like that, it's gonna feel very natural to bend. And
Yeah. Especially to a stringed instrument player. Yeah, I want one too.
We're talking to you, Marconi.
Send us one, or send us two. I'll take the
Yeah.
24.
And if any of you are interested, marconi.com. That's
Yep.
what we're looking at right here.
Yep.
Check it out. If any of you ever get one, contact us. We'd love to hear. Like,
We're gonna come
your
over.
experience with it.
I'll bring beer, and we'll check it out. But very cool. That was a good find. That was, I think, just a short clip that like just came up in my feed somewhere, and I'm like, wait a second. I started watching the clip, and I'm like, yeah, we got to talk about that for
Well,
sure.
yeah, it's hard not to check that out. Like just seeing a picture of it, like, wait, what?
Yep, that part about it with the 4 people playing at the same time, like I saw that for like 2 seconds and I was totally sold. Like I go to jam sessions all the time where that would just be a central thing. Like we could just slap that thing down and everybody could pick a spot.
Yeah, they
If
must
I'm
have
from the
been,
bass guy, I got my little corner on the thing over here.
they must have been on the like 24.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah, you need a big one to get 4 people around it.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the idea. But even if it was only the 16 or whatever, let's say, if you had 4 people around, everybody has their own 4 strings that they could deal with. If you wanted to break it out, 4 people hanging around it. If I'm on those lowest 4 strings, I can do whatever I want within those 4 strings.
Oh, look at that one.
Nah. What I was saying about the 24 is that it looks like it would have, 24 gets you basically, 2 octaves worth, right? Because it's a whole step as you go across.
Oh, see, they do have their own kind of
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, the notation.
chord
Yeah.
instruction. Yeah.
Yep. And again, once you have the shape, a major triad, boom, boom, boom. Like once you have that little claw works for everything.
And
So all you have to do is.
you're seeing some big artists that are using that. I mean, Harry Connick Jr. I saw a couple videos earlier. Stevie Wonder was ripping on one of these.
Oh hell yeah, that's awesome. What's up, Uncle D? Haven't seen you in a bit. Good to see
Dick
you.
in the house.
With the shades, puppy shades. Very cool. But yeah, that was a heck of a find, and I've not checked one out, but I would check one out in a heartbeat. That was the one thing with the Chapman stick that I also had trouble with, is that you see them online or you see what they can do. They look awesome, but I don't know of a place that I could just go put my hands on one, try one, because
Yeah,
I can't.
it's not.
It would
the
be an
instrument.
investment. It's big, yeah.
You're not running into that at a Guitar Center.
Right, or a garage sale. I mean, that's you're not going to just find that one sitting around. So that's one that you got to really want it. But after seeing
Well,
that, I really want it.
Once somebody gets one of those, they probably don't want to sell it.
Yeah, I don't imagine. Yeah, I could see that being, just again, removing impediments to creativity, and that's a key. Whatever the tools are, like, it doesn't have to be the fanciest thing that you get, but it should be something that allows you to at least get on the path to finding your voice through whatever instrument it is, or through your voice to connect with the music, because that's important.
That's our cool new instrument of the week. If any of you guys know of a cool, different kind of instrument like that, send us a DM and let us know about it. We will check it out. I am on the hunt for like tomorrow's instruments.
Nice. Definitely some cool stuff, and love seeing different instruments. That one being so many strings, and a lot of them do start out as just the same concept, as far as it's a string or it's a reed or whatever. Each class of instruments has their own basis, and I am a fan of them coming up with new designs, and that just looks very solid in terms of it's not a flimsy neck that could do this or that. That thing is a solid, very solid looking board, so it looks like it stay in tune very well.
Just watching them as they build it, you can see the
precision,
craftsmanship.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we were talking about AI a little bit earlier, and we do have a cool step-by-step on how to turn AI art into AI video and character-driven video. Something that I've been really studying the last couple weeks, and it is moving fast and furious. I mean, this shit is developing and changing every day.
Exactly. And it's crazy what you can do already, and can do so quickly. And compared to, how long it would have taken even 5 years ago to do the things that we can now do in 5 minutes or 5 seconds with some of these prompts.
Well, and it gives you more time. It gives you more time to be creative rather than having to spend all the time doing the building. You get to focus more on the creative side of it.
Exactly.
I don't see AI as replacing the artist. I see it complementing the artist.
Exactly. It basically allows, like you said, it allows you to kind of more executive function, like you're more backing up and planning the thing rather than having to do all the nitty gritty of what you're trying to get done. The AI can do so much of it for us at this, even just right now. But as they get better and learning again the language of how to speak to the AI, how to get the results that you're looking for from the AI are capable of doing it. And we don't have to worry about them at this point, breaking out of their box or anything, because it's not like they're in a cage, a little thing in a cage that we're like feeding it little bits of information and trying to get stuff out. It's just code at this point, and it's not dangerous. It can't really do things that are problematic, because there are safeguards in place, by the companies. But they are interested in, they want us to play with it, because the more we feed it by talking to it essentially and trying to get it to do certain things and learning how to converse with it to get the results that we want, that's what makes it better, because then the next iteration they can incorporate all that data that they want and filter out the parts that they don't want, because some people ask you to do things that they shouldn't, and for that reason they have to have safeguards in place and things that they will teach it and things that they won't.
Yeah, talk to it nice.
Talk
say
nice.
Please, and it won't come back from the future and kill you.
Exactly, because that's no good. Like we've seen that play out. We don't like it.
Yeah. So this one we're going to be looking at. This one comes from Sharp Startup.
Nice.
At Sharp Startup over on YouTube. And again, Glenn, you're going to love this channel. You're going to want to check it out. He's got a whole bunch of stuff like this.
Nice. I am in.
And this one will show you how to create AI step by step.
Everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Nicole, and I was generated by artificial intelligence. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make unique talking avatars like me by using a few different tools that are really easy to use. For some reason, most of my friends wear the same thing and go to the same places every day. There's no reason for that. With a little bit of practice on what we're about to go over, you'll be generating consistent characters with natural voices really soon. The possibilities are limitless. You just need to use your imagination. Sure, avatars can be used for boring things like customer service and onboarding employees, but I'm hoping one day I might even be a news anchor or an actress. I mean, couldn't you see me in a Red Bull commercial right now? You just need to use your imagination. Hopefully, you're ready to go create some really cool stuff with artificial intelligence now. I'm going to show you how to generate your very own avatar, and a few variations that way your avatar isn't boring. We're also going to generate a script, a natural sounding voice, and even a unique background setting. And if you want to continue learning how to use artificial intelligence, now would be the perfect time for you to subscribe to this channel. Let's get started.
The first thing we're going to do is generate the initial image of our character. And I'm personally going to use Midjourney, but you can use whichever text to image generator you prefer. So you just want to start by doing a /, then typing in imagine, and then following that with your prompt. And for this prompt, it says full body portrait of a brunette woman with blonde streaks, wearing a black sweatshirt, semi-realistic, confident, shallow depth of field, AR23. And just press enter. All right, let's check out the photos that Midjourney came up with. So from here, you can just select whichever photo that you would like to use for your character. If you would like to try a different prompt, you could do that as well. That's really the key to getting the best character, is just trying different prompts until you really come up with the one that you want to use. But for the sake of this tutorial, we're just going to go ahead and select that second photo. And whenever you do find a character that you would like to use, you just want to go ahead and upscale that. So to upscale the second photo here, I'm just going to click U2. This is the upscaled image of our character, and you can just click on it and open it in browser, and that's going to pull up the high definition version of it. And from here, you simply just right click and save image as. That's going to download it to your computer. And if you'd like to just go ahead and use that image for your character, you can do that. And use that photo to generate your video. However, we're going to go ahead and generate a few variations of this character. That way our character can be in several different settings in our video. To start generating variations of our character, what we're going to do now is go ahead and open up the image again and right click. And we're going to copy the image address of this photo. And we're just going to come right back down here to the prompt bar, to our / imagine. Then you want to paste the image address just like that. And what we're actually going to do now is copy our initial prompt, the one that we use to generate the initial image. And we're going to paste that in our prompt bar just after the address there. And from here, you can just slightly change up this prompt a little bit. For example, we're going to get rid of the wearing a black sweatshirt and replace that with something else. For example, I'm going to type in ski jacket, and let's see what Midjourney comes up with. All right, let's go ahead and check out these new images. And I'm just going to open it up in the browser, and I'm going to go ahead and split the screen actually. That way we can compare it to the original image. And those are pretty similar. They aren't identical, obviously, but they are pretty close. So I think this fourth one over here is the most similar to our initial image. And again, you may have to go through this process several times, but for the time being, we're just going to go ahead and move forward with the image in the bottom right-hand corner, the fourth variation. And we're just going to go ahead and upscale this photo as well. This is the upscaled variation of our initial photo. So let's just go ahead and open it up in a new tab and compare it to the original. So that looks pretty similar. Again, obviously they're not identical, but it is pretty close. And if you were to go through this process several times, eventually you'll kind of get the process figured out and you'll learn how to create fairly consistent characters. But for the sake of this video, I'm just going to go ahead and stick with this one right here. And just like we did with the initial photo, you want to go ahead and right click and save image as. That way we can use it later.
The next step is to remove the backgrounds from the avatar photos that we just generated. That way, after we generate the video, we can add in our own background and create our own settings. And there's a ton of free background removal software out there. One I've been using lately is express.adobe.com. They have one that you can use for free. I know there's also another site called remove.bg. They allow you to remove the background for free there as well. So after you remove the background, what you want to do next is actually add in a green background to your avatar photos. That way it'll make it a lot easier to remove the background again after we actually generate the video. I would also recommend enhancing the photo before generating video with it. You can adjust the contrast, the brightness, everything like that. That definitely will help the final product. And then once you've enhanced your photo, again, you just want to add in a green background. And I would recommend adding in a darker green. With the video generating software we're about to use, sometimes the brighter greens do actually bleed through the image of the avatar. So I've just found it more useful to use a darker green background. And then once you have that dark green background, you just want to go ahead and download this image. And you're going to do this with all of the avatars that you're going to be generating video with. Now that we have the images of our characters, we're going to move on and generate the script for our avatar. And I'm going to use ChatGPT to generate the script. I didn't even use ChatGPT to generate a script for the avatars in this video. I came up with all of that on my own. If you know what you want your avatars to say, there's no reason to generate a script, but it can definitely make things easier if you have writer's block. So this prompt right here says, you are an AI generated avatar who is starting a YouTube channel. Your name is Nicole. Write a funny script for your first video where you will be teaching people how to use AI tools to generate their own avatar. And just press enter. I'm not going to read through all of this, but just the beginning to kind of give you an idea of what it says. It says, hi everyone, my name is Nicole, and I'm here to teach you all how to generate your own AI-powered avatar. Now, I know what you're thinking. Nicole, I already have a perfectly good human avatar. Why would I want a digital one? Well, let me tell you, having an AI avatar is like having a superpower. You can make them say and do anything you want. Plus, you'll never have a bad hair day again. How cool is that? All right, so you can definitely tell that ChatGPT tried to make that funny. Personally, I wouldn't have wanted to use that in this video, but that can definitely give you an idea of how you can generate a script. Now, from here, you just want to copy this script, and we're going to go ahead and generate the audio now. The video generator that we'll be using does also generate audio. However, I don't think it's the highest quality, and depending on what you're generating your video for, you may want some higher quality audio. So that's why I would recommend using Play.ht. That's what I use to generate the voices for the avatars in this video. And I'll put a link in the description. I think you get 300 words for free whenever you first sign up. So if you're wanting higher quality audio, I would definitely recommend checking it out. Once you get logged in to Play.ht, you can just click Create Audio. And I would recommend selecting Use Ultra Realistic Voices. And from here, you can simply just paste in the script that you copied previously from ChatGPT. And to change up the voice, you can click on the little pink box on the left-hand side. And from here, you can try out the different voices and find which one works best for you. So let's go ahead and see what all is in here. So here's what a few of the voices sound like. Alfonso has been one of my favorites so far.
Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe and make sure to press the bell icon to get notifications when I upload a new.
At the 90-day marker, it's a good idea to check in and review the employee.
Extreme success. Like many other philosophers who have great
merging neuroscience, psychology, and mindfulness with practical takeaways for being more focused in our work and why.
All right, I'm going to go with Alfonso. And after you find one that you want to use, just select it, click confirm. And from here, you can simply just click generate all previews. I'm not going to generate all of these because I don't want to use up my words right now on my account. So I'm just going to generate that one line right here. That way we can get an idea. And here in a second, we're going to generate some audio with the video generator, and that way you can compare the two. So let's go ahead and see what this audio sounds like right now.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nicole, and I'm here to teach you all how to generate your own AI-powered avatar.
All right, that's really nice. So I'm just going to go ahead and download that. And now we're going to move on to the next step. Now is the fun part. Now is when we actually generate the video. And we're going to be using a website called did.com. And there's another video generator out there that I've used. I believe it's called movio.la. I'll put a link to it in the description in case you want to check that one out as well. But so far, I've liked did.com the most. Once you get logged in, you just want to go ahead and click on create a video. This is where you'll upload a photo of your avatar. You just click add. And then if you used a different website to generate the audio, you can go ahead and upload the audio right here. That's what I'm going to do right now. And just to show you the difference between the audio quality of did.com and Play HT, I'm going to go ahead and put in the script into DID, and we'll go ahead and listen to what the audio from DID sounds like.
Hi everyone. My name is Nicole, and I'm here to teach you all how to generate your own AI-powered avatar. Now, I know what you're thinking, Nicole, I already have a perfectly good human avatar.
So that was DID's audio. Now let's go and listen to play.ht audio.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nicole, and I'm here to teach you all how to generate your own AI-powered avatar.
Definitely a really big difference there. Now, again, it may not be that big of a deal to you, depending on whatever you're generating this video for, but I definitely did notice a difference. So after you get your audio uploaded or generated, really just click generate video. Just like that, our video is generated, and to preview it, just click on it.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nicole, and I'm here to teach you all how to generate your own AI-powered avatar.
There we go. That's our new AI-generated avatar. Now let's go ahead and remove the green background and add in our own background. We're going to be using a video editing software called Discretion to remove the green background and add in our own background. Now, personally, I've been using Adobe Premiere lately, but I know not everybody has Adobe Premiere and you do have to pay for it. And Discretion does have a free tier that you can use without paying. So that's why I'll be using Discretion in this video. And if you've never used Discretion before, you can sign up for a free account by using the link in the description of this video. Discretion is extremely easy to use. Once you get logged in, you just want to click on New Project. And then you can select whichever template you'd like. I'm just going to click the first one right here. And from here, all you have to do is drag and drop the video that we just generated and downloaded and drag that onto the timeline. Make sure you have the clip selected, and then over on the right-hand side of the screen, you want to click the little tab that says Effects, and you'll see an option that says Green Screen. Go ahead and select that. And right now it's applying the green screen to this video clip. So it's removing the green background. And as soon as that is finished, what we can do is add in our own custom background. So it just removed the green background, and I'm actually going to go ahead and delete that title right there. And now I'm going to just drag and drop in a photo of a cafe for the background. I'm just going to rearrange these clips right here and make the background longer in the timeline. Make sure they're overlapping. And just like that, we have successfully generated our talking avatar, removed the green background, and also added in our own custom background.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nicole, and I'm here to teach you all how to generate your own AI-powered avatar.
If you have any questions about any of this, just let me know down in the comments. If you got any value out of the video, go ahead and like it, and I'll see you all next time.
I definitely like it. That is very cool. And step by step too. They're all, free tools, freely available tools, but also mentioning some of the tools that, that people use when they really want to, they get serious about the stuff, which is very cool.
Yeah, he did a nice job of actually like going through the procedure, and that's the kind of thing you got to do a couple of times before you get the procedures down in your head, and that's a nice tutorial for that.
Yeah,
and I'd like to address, because Rough Guitar Studios, he seems to think like this is all a scam, that it's a tool. How people use it, you can't fault somebody for doing something that they might not have been able to do before. Like if I can't get an actress, if I don't have the resources or the ability to, having these options these days are going to empower some people who didn't have those options. It's
Absolutely.
like somebody who doesn't have use of their arms, but then finds a way to write music with something else. These tools will help some people.
Yeah,
And yes,
absolutely.
unfortunately, there will be those who have the attitude like, oh, I don't have to do anything anymore, or I don't want to do anything. And unfortunately, there have always been those kinds of people, and there have always been these kinds of tools that make people not want to be creative. But it's not the tools that make them give up, it's themselves. This technology is here to stay. It's going to empower some people, and it might dissuade others.
Yeah,
But
it'll replace.
overall,
Yeah.
I think we're in good shape.
It'll replace a lot of things, but it will enable things, and by replacing those things, it enables us to do other things, even sometimes things that we can't imagine at this point because they don't exist yet, or they wasn't available because we're busy doing other things, but now we have the time to. So being able to focus on creative pursuits is definitely one of the things that we hope to all have more time for as time goes on.
Yeah, or in some cases, it'll help somebody to actually conceptualize something, start with something like this, and then eventually get the actress that they need and say, here's what we're looking for, bring in the human. He used AI to make the voice there. You don't have to use AI to make the voice.
That was my other point I was going to make
You
there.
can take an audio track and do the same thing to a human voice.
Maybe you want to make a video, but you're not afraid to say it. You're not afraid to get your voice in there, but you don't want your face on camera. Well, you can just make that avatar and then use your vocal track where it is a very real sounding voice, and you can make the video the same way that he just did.
Yeah, and that's why you see this voice AI becoming so popular. I mean, over the years, there's tons of YouTubers out there who don't want to actually do the script, don't want to do the speaking. And, in the old days, it really sounded like speak and spell, and now you're seeing voice AI that's sounding more natural.
Even those two, there were certain spots in it, like the very beginning, the high didn't sound very good. Like it was very, stretched and didn't sound realistic, but that's where you can just change the script also. And instead of starting with hi, start with hello or start with greetings or whatever. You can, change the wording to get around something like that. And it would have sounded much more natural, because the one that did sound more natural of the two, if they had just gotten that first part adjusted a little bit, just in the wording even, it probably would have sounded much more natural all the way through.
Yeah,
instead of starting off that way.
I have to check out the AI synthesizer he was using to do the voice. I've been looking at 11 Labs. That's the one that I subscribe to, and I mean it's pretty basic. It only gives you two sliders that you can really tweak the voice, but it does let you import human voices, and it simulates the tone of you've seen it with, like, I've been playing with Angie's voice, I played with yours.
Yep.
and
Edgar Allan Poe.
as you slide the accuracy, it ironically, when the accuracy is lower, it tends to sound closer to the human that you're trying to make it sound like. We don't tend to talk fast and robotic, so less accuracy actually gives it more of a human feel.
My thought would also be, rather than just grabbing, it sounded great for just grabbing, a chunk of audio from wherever of my voice. But if I knew that I was programming or making a vocal track to program it, I would say things specifically. Like you choose, certain, where you're covering all the phonics, you're getting inflections in, getting all the things out there to get the the data set essentially that you're feeding it as accurate as you can, rather than just a random snippet. Because if it's a random snippet of just, all one inflection and all, and you only hit a couple of the phonics that you need to in order to build the entire set, it would have to extrapolate and try to guess on a lot of it. Whereas if you can feed it a really good example where, somebody could tell you, kind of like the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog, like using a sentence like that to, make sure you cover all of the letters or cover all of the phonics, all the sounds.
Yeah, and I think as they're developing this vocal AI, the ability to put in characters or inflections through text will help a lot. I've been looking to see how I can do that with the 11 Labs one, where sometimes I'm purposely misspelling. Like, for instance, it doesn't say Ange unless I do ANJ.
Right.
If I do ANG, it says Ang.
Yep, and that's where you're learning the language. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you start to learn how it talks, and you start to type in a way that gets you what you're looking for.
Yep,
but
you're trying to type it out phonetically, essentially. Yeah.
I would like to see some special characters that allow you to give it inflection. I'm sure that
now there are actually, I would say, without knowing what they are, it would be things, in my guessing, would be things like, again, with the prompting, it's things like whether it's the squiggly parentheses. Well, sometimes it's the parentheses. Sometimes it is, what it would be is if you were to look up in the dictionary, for example, under any of the words, any word, right? You go look it up and it'll show you next to it how to pronounce it, and it'll have a certain way it'll do it. Like you're saying, the E with a line over it, or something with a caret over it, or whatever kind of characters, because there's a long E sound or a long O sound, for example.
Yeah, and the way I've been doing that is
Mm-hmm.
just adding extra E's. Like,
right, exactly. That's one way as well.
Yeah, it actually does work. It's a quick way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And for a
What's up, Jenny?
For a future episode, one thing I started looking at this week is there are vocal AIs that are claiming to sing. So in the future, we're going to take a look at where they're going with singing AI. We looked at some of that with who was it? The one that we did our intro with.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Now I'm blanking. You blank it, I blank.
Brain farted.
It'll come to me. Maybe.
Inkbox.
There you go. Thank
Inkbox. Oh, look, Ange stole my glasses.
Oh.
That's how I do it. I just flicked my glasses onto Ange.
Now she's got them.
They'll come back.
Yeah.
It's the picture. Like, depending on the picture, sometimes she'll get the glasses.
It steals the camera from me. And you're like, hey, give me those.
Oh, man, Ange, you look cool.
There you go. Now Ruff's got him. He found the aviators. Hey, what's up, Rolo?
That one came from Sharp Startup.
Very cool.
Guys, I put the link, and you'll also see the links in our description over on YouTube after the show gets put over there. If you want to walk along with that lesson or check out some of the other ones he's got a lot of tutorials on this technology.
And even just diving into any of those individual sites that he just went over is, a whole rabbit hole on themselves. Like any one of those could be a lot of fun just to go check them out.
Oh yeah, I had a lot of fun looking through his playlist. All stuff I want to learn. Yeah.
It's quite a time to be looking around at this stuff because, being right at the cutting edge, being involved where there are betas coming up, things that aren't even out yet where, you can get on the list and you can be one of the people who's actually working with it to help train it by, and again, it comes down to prompt crafting is what it comes back to a lot with all of those is, figuring out how to talk to the AI to get it to produce the results that you want. Sometimes it's about working backwards, sometimes it's about working forwards, but usually it's just about being able to, know what you can ask it and know what you should ask it and know what you need to tell it to get there.
Yeah.
And how much to expect it to do.
Learning to prompt is like learning a whole new language. We're learning to speak to these computers.
Yep.
And they're learning how to respond back.
Exactly. And it's a lot of fun, and it's not always about, the right answer. So it's not about getting up here and saying, you need to do this and you need to do that. It's more, try this, try that, see what it does for you. And then, if you find something that works particularly well, that's awesome. You generate good results. You're getting, more efficiently, again, making videos if you want. You can make full music videos with, avatars like that with no problem.
Yeah, and it's not meant to replace your creative skills. It's meant
Right.
to complement them.
Yes.
Don't feel like you don't have to do something just because it can do it for you. Complement each other. Use it to conceptualize if necessary. Don't let it replace your creativity.
Right. And don't feel defeatist about it. Like, oh, now that they're here, we don't have to bother anymore. It'll all be done by AI without us. Because it's not really about that. Again, it's a tool to be used by us. Mostly good that I see coming from it, because it's not only about art, for that matter. It's you see ones that are code co-pilots, and people who are coding, who are being able to do much more quickly. Because they're able to use these tools to generate, code for them, and they can be more, again, write a section, imagine you're trying to solve this issue, and it can actually write the code for them. Even if it's not perfect as it is, it can do a lot of the structure and getting everything out so that it's okay, okay, now we're going to change this over here and make this like this. So you're customizing it, but you're using the tool to get a lot of the hard work done, or a lot of the, repetitive parts of the job done, for that matter.
What do you think, Virtual Ange?
She stole your glasses again.
She's like, I
You know
like
what?
it.
I bet if you just put your face in front of hers, you'd get them back. Like if you just kind of slid over to the side, there you go. Yeah.
Oh, you are right.
Because that's how she steals them.
Well, yeah, she was holding them for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And then anytime if you turn all the way away where it doesn't see your eyes anymore, it'll probably lock onto her, because if it can see her there.
Well, yeah, when I flicked it.
Nope. Now you got him.
I can't do it now.
Yeah. But that's how you do it. Either get in front of her to get them, or maybe even just like putting your hand up and like blocking her eyes. like do like one of those, and maybe they'll come back.
Stop looking at me.
but you got to be facing this way. Yep, just like that. And then get it back. Charge.
So that is some cool use of AI to help you to generate avatars. Something that is, I know, rough. You don't want to accept it, but this is what people are going to be doing. And in this early stage of development, those who do it good and do it impressive they're going to get some attention, because you'll stand out from the average, developers out there.
It's the time to get into.
I would encourage you to take it to its limits and show how creative you are with it. It will
Everybody's finding out what they can do.
It will only bring more attention to your work.
Even for some of the AI, the ChatGPT, for example, some people were asking it to, like rank new business ideas. Like, what are some ideas that you can use to, new businesses you can set up with no money, and rank them in difficulty or whatever. And like, with no skills or with less than this much money or whatever, you can ask it certain things, real world, practical things that it can help with. You can help, ask it to write you out an outline for a schedule, and put this here and this there and whatever. You can just make things very quickly. Just by thinking about them and telling it, what you're looking for, and the better you can describe what you're looking for, again, the better you can prompt it, the better you can tell it what you need, the better it can serve what you want. You want this? Okay, here.
and if you don't totally trust the AI's advice, ask yourself, would you trust like just any old human giving you the same advice? Why we trust like advice like that? It's not so much just because it's coming from a human. It's whether you trust the source of the advice. And I don't think these AIs are being programmed to lie.
Yeah, no.
I don't even think they know how to. They don't know what lying is.
One thing they talked about is hallucination. And it's not really, not what we would think of normally as hallucination, but it's that with some of the AI, they sometimes state things just very confidently, or it sounds very confident in the way they deliver the information, even if they're completely mistaken. Like, they could be totally wrong, but they're right so much that people just get used to listening to the correct information all the time, and then something slides in that they didn't think to check, and that was something that was false, or but they said it with such confidence that they had no idea.
Yeah.
But the AI was just extrapolating and took a guess, and could be wrong at certain times.
And they are programmed by humans, so it's not surprising that they'd be a little cocky.
Hey, I'm ready. I, for one, welcome our AI overlords and the robot ones that are coming after.
I think I'm going to get along with them just fine.
And I really do like that gift. There you go. that sheep's having fun.
Oh, actually, that sheep looks like he's in the same field what we're going to be looking at next. The artist that Miranda Monday,
Nice.
our new show,
Mm-hmm.
their first show, they brought in this artist, Jon Conner. Amazing musician, but even more amazing of a video producer, director. The reason why I really wanted to show this is because I think it's encouraging for all you artists out there making music. You should be thinking like visuals to go with that music. Music videos, we're at that point now where music videos now should be like it was when MTV first came out. We now have platforms. Every band, every musician out there should be thinking like, what am I going to put visually to go with the music that I make? And when we've got 2 videos from him, we've got his making of the song Glory, and he just released it today. We're going to show the video afterwards, and
Nice.
when you see the amount of work and creativity that he puts into making this video for this song, hopefully it encourages you. Like, they did this with art supplies and just good vision.
Ingenuity. Yeah. And a lot of work. A lot of work.
This is from Jon Conner, which you can find. His website is jonconner.net, and his YouTube is at Jon Conner 302. And the first video we're going to watch is the secrets behind the making of Glory, and you're going to see him and his wife just really put together a fantastic video, pretty much on a shoestring budget.
Very cool.
There we go.
Lo there do I see my father. Lo there do I see my mother. Lo there do I see my brothers and my sisters. Lo there do I see the line of my people back to the beginning. Lo, they do call to me. They bid me to take my place among them in the halls of Valhalla, where the brave may live forever. But not yet. Many nights I didn't sleep awake.
Preparation for this video started a couple months before we actually shot it. One night we were watching TV and I turned to my wife and said, wouldn't it be dope if we made a song and shot a video inspired by The Last Kingdom? I just see us pulling up on horses, dressed as Vikings, and she got inspired and excited by the idea that I had. She wanted to be involved and make the props, and it kind of took on a life of its own. So we headed down to Hobby Lobby, got a few of the styrofoam heads, and she started paper macheing what ultimately would be the severed heads that you see in the performance. Oh, y'all, we're sitting here about a month before the Glory video shoot, and we are painting our shields. Jess has hers, gonna be more like Lagatha from one of our favorite shows. And I picked one off the internet right there. So over here, Jess has started making severed heads. It's the head of the king I'll be holding up. Doing all this in our living room. Like I said, more than a month out from the video shoot, just trying to get all our props ready and make sure that we pack as much detail into this video as we can. Try to make it the most epic thing that I've ever shot. So obviously my vision was bigger than our budget, you know what I'm saying? So I have to give props to my wife. Hour here, hour there, a couple hours on the weekend, she began making all the props that you see in the video. So with multiple trips to Hobby Lobby and orders from Amazon, we started to get all the materials that we needed for Jess to be able to create the props that you see in the video. Everything in the video was handmade right there in our living room.
Will eventually be swords. They're the supports for the inside of the swords Jess is going to fabricate. Those right there are the middle of the shields. I still have to put the black strip down and some decorations. Jess still has a bunch of decorating to do in hers. We'll have to tape them out and add the detail.
And I have to say, it's a really cool experience working with your best friend, your wife, on your vision creatively. She's a very creative person, and this gives her an outlet to use her talents and her creativity, and I think she really enjoys putting those skills to use. And as we all know, the weeks can just get away from you, life happens, but she was diligent, kept knocking out the props, making the swords, and I just would not have been able to get this video shot without her help. So with about 2 weeks left, we were able to head out to where we were going to shoot the video and meet the horses and let them get to know us, so it would make it a little easier on the day of the shoot. And I have to give a big thank you and shout out to Jessie, one of Jess's best friends. She was absolutely amazing. She made the horses that she takes care of available to us. So 2 weekends before we shot, we went out and picked out our horses.
Go ahead and pull it out.
What's going on, y'all? About to shoot an epic video. Warhorse. My buddy Duke. Wait till you see what's coming. About to be YouTube famous, buddy. That's Potamus right there, y'all. Look at him. It's a beautiful horse. Warhorse in this thing. So after months and months of preparation and hard work, mainly by this badass, we are on our way to film Glory. So it's about 2:49. Most of the filming will be done as the sun is going down during the golden hour, of course. But we gotta get there and get set up, figure out the shots, and probably start with the horses, since that's gonna be the X factor variable in this thing that we can't control. Everything else we can control. So probably get the horse shots done first, and then spend the rest of the time doing performance takes and B-roll. So y'all stay tuned. That beauty. Hey, Potamus.
Can you tell your buddy hi? Hmm?
Chevy.
Come.
Do it again.
Hold Potamus, please.
So a funny thing happened. On the day of the shoot, the videographer I hired canceled, said he was sick. So we had put too much work into this video, and we decided to shoot it ourselves, handing the camera back and forth to each other and setting up tripods. And we had a blast. Blessing in disguise, because now Jess shoots all my videos.
Come here, babe. You got it.
At this point, Potamus had had enough.
Hey, we're over here. I'll see you in an hour.
He decided to take your boy out into the field.
Oh my God, this is great.
All right, guys, we are wrapped. Dude, look at that sunset. We just got some amazing stuff. Thank you, everybody in this video right here. Couldn't have done without you. Cheers.
Cheers.
Let's go. We are wrapped Warhorse.
Yeah.
Lo there do I see my father. Lo there do I see my mother. Lo there do I see my brothers and my sisters. Lo there do I see the line of my people back to the beginning. Lo, they do call to me. They bid me to take my place among them in the halls of Valhalla, where the brave may live forever. But not yet. Many nights I didn't sleep or wink. Only time I closed my eyes was just to blink. Scratched and clawed my way back from the brink, trying to capture brilliant thoughts in ink. It's all for naught if they ain't clicking on the link. Boss so crazy that I should consult or shrink. My battle cries heard across the land as I raise the severed head of the fallen king. Flow cold like I'm skating on a rink. Overwhelmed, I stop to pause and think. Started back from the bottom rung. My time is money, all of the talk is cheap. So put a higher number on the offer sheet. Or fuck off, I'm a beast that you can't keep on a leash. Got myself to the point I'm winning. I'm sitting back celebrating with a frosted drink. That's a really good daiquiri. We going up, got sick of moving laterally. The line starts here, better get in back of me or die tragically. Feel the wrath of me, they used to laugh at me. Now they bend the knee like Captain Me. I'm a goddamn hit song factory, making it hard for any rapper rapping after me. I cured the apathy. Most of these guys are whack to me. I wrote the rhymes, made the beats, mixed the songs. They did me wrong after dapping me, then fell the fuck off, came crawling back to me. I dare one of y'all to start talking tough. I've been patiently waiting to call your bluff, but you won't say shit. You're a bitch who won't answer the phone when I call you up. You wanna win, run the play when I draw it up. They follow my lead when I ball, I'm clutch. Spent the last year knocking off the rust, and now I'm here to get what belongs to us. I recognized I always had the gift. Look real deep inside and something clicked. Move my wrist, watch the paradigm will shift. Make my claim, watch the universe assist. Taking names, about to check them off my list. I'm the reason that half of y'all exist. Standing here beating on my chest like a band of gorillas in the mist. So talk shit and get pissed if the shoe fits. I don't care about your drip or your new whips. That's not gonna save you when I do this. I only produce hits. Set the record straight, I don't flow on tracks. I just meditate till I levitate over the drums and bass. Now behold the greatness I emanate. Naively thought that my body of work was something the game would celebrate. I ain't gonna say that I never ate, but it was hell on my mental state. I was propping up guys that were second rate, while people close to me couldn't understand the reason I would give them all my dopest songs, and none of them would even look back or lend a hand. I fought for every step I ever took. It's lonely at the top, but you get a better look. Just bars, you won't even get a hook. Made it further than they ever said I could. Look how many I made hot. I'ma give it everything I got like a gamecock. I used to work 50 hours doing music on the side with an old paintbrush and a paint pot. Pay my dues and then some. Man, I used to worry about how will the rent come, and now that I got the momentum, they wanna try to throw salt like Epsom. Stand 6 foot, but I hit like I'm 10-1. Spreading like SARS and H1N1. Try to stop me, come up short like a hedge fund. When it comes to the mic, I'm red rum. When it comes to the beats, I'm top tier. You might be the man where you're from, but not here. I'm feeling myself, but not fear. Y'all boys got a problem, I'm here. Glory.
Definitely badass.
He put that together well.
Yeah, badass production. And again, that video, saying you've seen it here first day, just came out, freshly baked.
That is a freshie.
Most excellent.
And you see how he took that song and brought that vision to it. I mean,
yes, indeed.
It's inspiring. Like it makes me feel like, yes, I can do that.
Absolutely. And that was real video shot, not AI stuff. So that is, going back to what they were talking about before, like that's, with creative vision like that and being able to make a video like that on what would be, technically very low budget in terms of it's not, they don't have money to make enormous elaborate sets and things. That's all just materials that they put a lot of love into to get the look they were looking for, which was very cool.
They made a video that looks like $1 million for a fraction of $1 million.
Exactly. That's very cool.
And he's, his skills, the video composition, the whole key to making something look like that, it's video skills, lighting skills, the prop design. These are all the kinds of things that you get into your tool belt and they will take you far.
Absolutely. And again, some things that, AI will be able to do some of these things to assist with some of these things, even if it's just helping to come up with storyboarding, for example. You could have the AI help you storyboard out a scene that you're having trouble with, or, figure out where, you're not sure where the story should go. So you have the AI give you a hand and, make some decisions for you. And like, yeah, I like that idea. Or no, maybe instead of that, we do this, it might inspire something different in you, which to me, is part of the value of it.
Yeah, and this is the Jon Conner that's not coming back with Terminators.
That's right. He will not be back.
Yeah, but you can check him out at jonconner.net and like look at his work. I mean, I've seen a couple of his videos. They're all amazing.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And he does take like a nice simplistic approach, but yet he produces magic.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And it just shows that you can do it. You can do it. If you have the the vision, and you can you have access to the tools, and just takes the creative energy and the love into the project is the idea, and keeping it together. Having a partner to work with, also I'm sure makes it a lot easier than just trying to do it alone. But props for getting it done. That's awesome.
Yeah, if you want to get more insight into him, youtube.com/Angified.
Mm-hmm.
Check out Miranda Mondays. 2 weeks ago, she had him on.
Yep.
Great interview.
Exactly. Very cool. Now we've got a few other things to get into musically today as well. We had a couple that were guitar related, I believe, on arpeggios and things of that nature from one source, and we had others that were singing related.
Yeah, that was the Sam Jam guitar.
Yep, I think Sam Jam was the one that had the two of them. Yep, there you go.
Yeah. This was a we couldn't pick just one.
Yeah, the interval ear training one is in particular. I think it's in 7 minutes, so I think that video is a shorter one in terms of that. But it's about figuring out how to identify the intervals, so that doing it by song, recognizing that part of a song, and you hear that in another song, and you'll be able to quickly identify which interval it is, and that'll help you with figuring out what progressions are and things of that nature much more quickly.
Oh, and learning arpeggios, that's kind of a necessity. Without arpeggios, your music's missing something.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
Yeah, and he's at Sam Jam Guitar over at YouTube, so you can find him there.
Yep. Let's check it out. For me, any of the, and we also have, a vocal one. That was for another one for later. And the AI, correct? Yeah, a few different ones. Sharp was the first one, right? Yeah. With the AI animated characters. It's good that we had a few different options. I think the one that we're going to go with is this one over here. We'll start with the arpeggios.
In this short video, you will learn what arpeggios are, how to work out every arpeggio type without learning lots of different patterns, and most importantly, how to use them to outline chords in your solos. An arpeggio is often described as a broken chord, or in other words, a chord in which individual notes are played one by one rather than all together. And you would typically play these in order. For example, a simple G major chord, or triad, is made from the first, third, and fifth notes of the G major scale. So starting on a G root note, this would give us the notes G, B, and D. And if we were to play these notes one after the other in a simple pattern, we would end up with a G major arpeggio. And of course, we can extend this by one more octave by playing any remaining roots, thirds, or fifths available within the scale, which would sound like this. If you have any knowledge on how chords are constructed using chord formula, then you can easily adjust certain intervals to form any other arpeggio you like. For example, the only difference between a major triad and a minor triad is the third, which has been flattened. So knowing this, we can now create a minor arpeggio, not by learning a brand new pattern, but by simply lowering the third in our major arpeggio by 1 fret, which would sound like this. So provided you know the intervals contained within most chord types, you could use this knowledge to create any arpeggio you wish. So perhaps a major 6 arpeggio, which would contain the intervals 1, 3, 5, and 6. Or even a minor 7 flat 5 arpeggio, which would be 1, flat 3, flat 5, and flat 7. What you should be taking away from this is that a good strong knowledge of intervals will give you every pattern or chord you could possibly need without having to learn countless shapes from books or lessons online. And if you don't know where to start to begin learning this knowledge, then I'll link to a very detailed video that I've made just on this subject at the end of this lesson. Once you understand how to play even the most basic major and minor arpeggios, you can use these now to outline individual chords within a chord progression when soloing, rather than a one-size-fits-all scale like the guitarist's favourite, the minor pentatonic scale. Take, for example, a chord progression such as G minor, C, C minor, B flat to D. At first, this may sound mechanical, but after you're able to follow a simple chord progression, you can break away from simply ascending and descending arpeggios and instead use the notes more selectively to highlight each chord just enough to let the listener know which chord you're suggesting in your solo. Now you may have noticed in the previous example that I had to move around the neck a bit too much. This was mainly due to the fact that I was restricting myself to only playing arpeggios starting from an E string root position. While there's nothing inherently wrong with this can be a bit cumbersome and unnecessary, so it's important to at least know your arpeggios from an A string root position also. To do this, simply follow the same steps, either by knowing your major scale starting from an A string root position and selecting the correct intervals, or an even quicker way would be to simply move your existing E string arpeggios over by one string set, and be aware that any notes that fall on the B string of your guitar will have to be raised by one semitone or fret, which would look like this for major arpeggios, and this for minor arpeggios. Using both E and A root position arpeggios together will allow you to solo over chord progressions without needing to move around the neck quite so much. In the same way that when playing a simple chord progression using only bar chords, you could choose to use just one shape and span the fretboard, or play the exact same chords using two different bar chord shapes, reducing movement and keeping the jump between notes in the chords closer for better voice leading. Neither choice is right or wrong, you simply end up with more options when choosing how to navigate the fretboard. For example, a very simple progression such as G, C, D could be played like this, or this. And the same can be said about each chord's arpeggio counterpart. It's worth noting, if you haven't realized already, that within any arpeggio you should be able to see the chord shape within the pattern. For example, a G major arpeggio starting on an E string root note reveals a very familiar G major bar chord shape, while the minor arpeggio starting from the same root note reveals a minor bar chord shape. The same can be seen when visualizing a C major arpeggio starting from an A string root note, which would reveal a standard 5-string bar chord, and also with a C minor arpeggio, which would reveal a 5-string minor bar chord. This of course makes a lot of sense, as an arpeggio is really just the notes of a chord laid out one after the other. So memorizing arpeggios can be made much easier if you can visualize the chord first. This will also help you to land anywhere in the arpeggio you like when soloing, rather than feeling like you have to start from the root note or beginning of a pattern for fear of getting lost. So far within this video, we've really only discussed major and minor arpeggios, but of course for any chord that exists, there also is an arpeggio counterpart. So if you wish to understand the building blocks of chord construction, so that you can not only build every chord imaginable, but also as a byproduct every existing arpeggio, then I would strongly suggest watching this video next. As usual, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Interesting.
Yeah, it really does lay it out in an interesting way, and in visually just seeing the choices about the E string root and the A string root, and understanding that once you get those two things down, like the E string major positions and the A string major position, E string minor, A string minor, you learn those four and you can cover so much music with just those couple of shapes and just being able to slide around to different frets for different keys.
And I noticed one thing when he mentioned having to adjust on the B string.
Yep.
Is the B the weird? That's the weird string on a standard tuning, huh? Because all
Yep.
the other ones go, what, 4 notes up?
It's basically the fifth note. So if you were to play on the fifth fret on any of the other strings, you'll be getting that next note, and that's where, if you wanted to, like that E string,
Well,
for example, the
like
lowest
you
string.
you see, like the E goes to an A, which
Yep.
is 3 notes higher, and the,
Well, you're thinking 3 notes, but you think actually it's 5 semitones is the way to look
well,
at it.
yeah.
Because you got to think about the flats
but,
in between.
But the B is a weird one.
That's only 4 semitones. Yeah, going
Yeah.
from the G to the B. Yeah,
That's
and that's
why he
to make
that's why
chords
he
work
had
out
to
better.
Adjust it a half step up.
Yep,
Or,
and that's
or
how
a fret up.
it's for chord shapes, and it makes those bar chords work. Otherwise, you wouldn't have enough fingers to use, to get across all those strings. But that one shift, if you figure out that one shift, but that also is the one difference between guitar and bass, for example, because the bass is like those first 4 strings of the guitar that do just go in that order. They follow that order, and even on the 5-string bass, they all still stay in the same tuning, where they're all basically the 5th fret is going to be that next note. So if you were to play the open string and then 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th fret, that 5th fret is that next open string. So you can check that as you go on any, on a bass, whether it's a 7-string bass, 8-string bass, I would still have it tuned that same way. Every next string would still be 5th fret all the time, and then the pattern is the same no matter what I'm doing. I could just, and you're just going down octaves with the same exact pattern through all the strings.
It is interesting. That B is an asshole everywhere, huh?
Yeah, it can be, because it's the 7th chord if you're in the key of C major. But in this case, that B, I do like the fact that on the 5-string, the B is that lowest note on my fattest string. When I'm in standard tuning, it's B on the lowest string and then E, A, D, G for the next 4.
Well, and it does require some conscientious thought dealing with that string and your claw, and as you're transposing like that.
The thing about the low B, I mean, it's actually hooked up right now, but the low B is very low, and it's almost so low that you almost can't make it out. Like if it was a little bit sharp or a little bit flat, and somebody else were, I'm playing with somebody and they're playing B, it would sound close enough because of the fact that it's so far down that nobody else is down in that range. Because you're getting down to almost inaudible when you're down there. The normal lowest E is up there. That's like a lot higher.
It puts the B in bass.
And the B is way down there, and the bass is just standing on the stand over here. But it happens to be, arms, within arm's reach here. But it is every 5th fret for that. So, and that's the standard, standard tuning for the 5-string. There are also 5 strings that instead of having a low B would have a high C string, and in that case, it's different than a guitar. Once you get that E, A, D, G, the guitar you would have that B string on a 5-string bass with the high C. With the high note, it would be a C on the top, so that it would follow the same tuning as it would normally be on a bass.
Yeah,
a little confusing,
but I like in that example how after he showed the arpeggio, the highlighting the thirds approach.
Yes.
Like
the little targets, that was perfect. That part,
really clicks in when you hear how useful that can be. Once you've got the arpeggio down, utilizing those thirds like that, you could just solo all day.
Yeah, and it's about using those. The way that he used them was like using them as targets, where you don't have to necessarily just go from here and then get to there. It's like jumping from life raft to life raft. It's more, that's where I want to end up. So I can go boom, boom, ba-dum, boom, and that boom, that spot was where I wanted to land. So landing those chord tones and understanding that those are the tones that you want to hold on and work around.
Knowing your targets.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, pentatonics, like he mentioned, in there at one point, the pentatonic, minor pentatonic. Everybody loves it, and everybody loves it because it sounds great. But it's easy to fall into the trap of just always playing it.
Yeah, every song you write, you guitarists, we're talking to you.
Yeah. But with those arpeggios, also the simplest version. If you're teaching yourself, if you're just learning, again, going from that chord, the easy chord progression there, and you're just a G, a C, and a D, understanding that you can just do, this shape on, the G string, same thing on the bass, like you're starting on the G, and then you just go down a string, and now you're in C, and then you move up 2 frets, and you're at D. So understanding that on a 4-string bass, even the lowest the fattest string, 3rd fret would be a G. So you're doing 3rd fret there, and then you go down a string, 3rd fret on the A string is the C, and then 5th fret there on the A string is the D. So they're all, starting with those as the root position, and then the same pattern that you use for any of them can be used on any of them, because whether you move down a string or over frets, the same patterns yield the same sounds. As far as if it's a major arpeggio, it's going to be a major arpeggio if you're hitting this note, and that note. And again, that's where knowing the notes is helpful. But just going by sound and figuring out what's within an octave of where you are, getting comfortable with each of those as you're figuring out how things are, because then you're dealing with essentially everything within 2 strings away and 2 frets away. But you can also stretch to 3 or 4 frets away. You have 4 fingers, so usually 1 finger per fret is a good way to think about it. And if you were to do that all the way at the end of the neck, you're doing them on frets 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then if you instead of fret 5, that's the next open string. So you can think about it as you're able to hit all notes by going that way. But it is a little uncomfortable to play all the way at the end of the neck, because that's where the frets are furthest apart. So a lot of times it's more comfortable to jump up to the 5th fret and figure things out there, and then you're playing an A essentially. But there's a lot of ways to do it.
I think Ange is smoking in the back.
Smoking in the boys' room? No. She didn't steal your glasses this time, though.
She might have stole my weed. Look at those
man,
eyes.
I'm telling you. I think the graphics can't figure out how to get the glasses that big. You remember those old fun glasses where they're like this much bigger than your head? Like, I gotta get my filter reinstalled, the Snapcam. Get some of those silly faces back.
We found a way to bring Snapcam back. Maybe we'll show that in one of our episodes.
Coming soon to a theater near you.
Useful tool, and when they shut down the program, a lot of people were like, "Oh my God, what am I gonna do?" There's no other program like it out there.
Yeah. But again, with the way that the AI is coming with these, generating your own videos like that, we could generate our own pretty easily there. That'd be pretty cool. I'm about to look into that as well.
Have to ask ChatGPT how to make a Snapcam equivalent.
Yeah. Oh man, it would probably, for you, I mean, I think the two of you would get along great talking about stuff like that, because understanding what you've done previously with programming, just having that knowledge of the way programs are put together, you would understand the way to ask it to do what you're looking for.
Well, and that's what fascinates me the most about where AI is right now is, as a programmer, I see this as the future programming language. People aren't going to be programming in your traditional programming languages anymore. They're going to speak more like normal English and let the computers do the programming. It's like machine language in the old days. Humans didn't do machine language. Machine language was designed for machines to understand. Nobody wants to sit there and do 0 1 0 0 1 0 0. Like, that's no fun programming.
We keep backing out a layer and allowing the software to kind of do the work for us at that point, and that's where the Copilot and the ChatGPT stuff can really help with all of that and really make the workflow for so many different things that much easier, but especially for things like programming. That's one of the places where I think it excels in the partnership between people and AI to get something done.
If it saves me 10 hours of programming, then
exactly.
I'm all for it.
And again, just in the quick examples that I saw in a video that I saw yesterday, I'll have to get the link for maybe next week's show. But it's one that went over some things, and just in general, the way it was getting it to create things so quickly, whether it's lists of things and rank this and best ways to do that, and just understanding, again, the way to talk to it is what it all comes down to. The prompt crafting, it really is the new science, and it's not something that you have to go, you research for years and years. You can just talk to the AI and see, how it responds to you, and you might have that knack. You might be the AI whisperer. You might be the one who can, just make it do what you want on first request because you can accurately describe what you need, or you see what it gives you from your description, and you can now tweak what you're asking it to get the better results. Like we were talking about with the phonetics before, you want it to, you want a vocal AI to, or a verbal AI to speak something for you, and it's not speaking words correctly. You can change the spelling phonetically and make it try to work out that way. A lot of times you can make that happen. Now, the second one we were going to do was from the same location, same guitar channel there. One was the Arpeggios. This one is the internal ear tuning, internal ear training for guitar in 7 minutes. So this one is a shortish video, but it'll help with being able to identify the intervals And with each interval that you can identify, it also has a song that you can kind of match to it to get that interval kind of in your head, in your ears in that way. So let's give that one a go. Interval ear training and song examples to get relative pitch.
Let's talk about relative pitch. Relative pitch is the ability of a person to identify or recreate a given musical note by comparing it to a reference note and identifying the interval between those two notes. The easiest way to develop your ear and achieve relative pitch is through interval ear training. The basic idea here is that you reference a well-known song that uses a particular interval within the first few notes of its melody for each one of our 12 intervals. This means that any time you hear two notes played one after the other or at the same time, you will instantly associate this with your chosen melody and therefore a particular interval with which then you can place on the guitar with no guesswork. So let's get into it. We're going to learn each interval one by ear and also how to place it on the fretboard of the guitar. Let's start with the smallest possible interval. Whenever you play a note followed by another note, a semitone or fret higher, this would be called a minor second or flat second. Our first reference track we could use to identify the sound of this interval would be the first and second notes of. Practice this and any other interval we learn within the course of this lesson. Try playing your starting note on the guitar and then try singing the target interval note. After this, you can then play the correct target note on the guitar and then see if you were correct. This not only solidifies your understanding of intervals using your ear, but also helps apply this to the guitar fretboard. To play a major second interval on guitar, you simply need to move up 2 semitones or 2 frets higher than our initial note. Our reference track for a major second interval is a song that you've most likely heard every year since you were born. To play a minor third interval on guitar, you just need to play a note 3 semitones or 3 frets higher than our starting note. Alternatively, you could also play this on the next string, but 2 frets lower. A quick side note to be aware of on the guitar is that the guitar is mostly tuned in fourths, with the exception of the distance between our G string and B string, which is a third. What that really means though is that any shape you learn across 2 adjacent strings will have to be adjusted for this difference in tuning. So for example, if we moved our minor third shape across each string set, the shape would remain the same until we reach the G and B strings, in which case, because of the difference in tuning, you would simply raise the second note up 1 fret, which would look like this. Be aware of this for any interval shapes that use 2 strings that we may learn during the course of this lesson, but it's good to know as a guitar player in general also. There are many different reference songs you could use for a minor third interval, mainly because the 2 notes of this interval are also the first 2 notes of our minor pentatonic scale, which has been used to write many famous guitarists and solos. So here are a few of the most popular examples. To play a major third on guitar, you can play a note 4 semitones or 4 frets higher than our starting note on the same string, or on the next string but 1 fret lower. Our reference track for a major third is the first 2 notes of The Simpsons theme tune. A perfect fourth can be found 5 semitones or 5 frets higher than our starting note on the same string. Alternatively, it would be directly beside our starting note on the next available string. There are 2 very well known and universal reference tracks we can use for a perfect fourth interval. One being Auld Lang Syne, and another being Amazing Grace. This interval can be called an augmented fourth if the fourth is raised, a diminished fifth if the fifth is lowered, or even a tritone, but let's stick with flat 5 for simplicity. You can find the flat 5 interval by playing a note diagonally up from our starting note on the next string. It's back to The Simpsons again for this reference track, but this time it's the first 2 notes of the title reveal. find a perfect fifth on the fretboard, you can play a note that is 2 frets higher on the next string. Or if you're familiar with a power chord shape, it's identical, as a power chord is made from the root and the fifth, or the 1 and 5. Our reference track for a perfect fifth could be anything from Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, or even a minor 6th interval can be found 2 strings across and 2 frets down from our starting note. A reference track we could use for a minor 6th interval could be found in the piano intro that appears in John Carpenter's Halloween. A major 6th interval can be played 2 strings across and 1 fret down from our starting note. The reference track we can use for a major 6th would be the verse from Jingle Bells, Dashing Through the Snow. A minor 7th interval can be played on the same fret as our starting note, just 2 strings across. A good reference track for the minor 7th interval could be the first 2 notes of the main riff from Can't Stop by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. A common way of playing a major 7th interval would be 2 strings across and 1 fret up from our starting note. A good reference track for this interval could be the first and third notes of Somewhere Over the Rainbow. A common way of playing our very last interval, the octave, would be 2 strings across and 2 frets up from our starting note. And once again, to reference an octave, Somewhere Over the Rainbow, but this time the first and second notes. This method is a great starting point if you wish to improve your ear quickly and achieve relative pitch. If you would like to see more lessons like this, then feel free to like below, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. See you in the next one.
Yep. Sam Jam Guitar for that one. And I think that was the same for those last 2, right? Both videos, Sam Jam Guitar?
Yep, Sam Jam Guitar.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. And again, I like the way that it just locks the idea of those intervals in, because once you get those intervals into your ear and you're able to hear those other, reference tracks, whether, and you can make your own reference tracks, whatever, makes sense for that. Nice. Got a good view there. Let's try this one. Whoa. Or even.
Hey, we're behind him.
Hi. Let me out.
Well, I like how he broke down each example. Like, for those of you, if you aren't familiar with power chords, you're not playing rock and roll.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's the thing, is that's one of the easier positions or claws that we talk about. Just 2 notes, root and a 5. Once you get that, and that's one of the reasons why people will do drop D tuning, for example, or drop whatever tuning, because when you do that drop tune, you're taking the lowest string, the fattest one, bringing it down 2 frets. Or making it 2 semitones lower, and that way the root and the fifth are on the same fret. So you can just be hitting straight across 2 frets, and that's where you can just slide that anywhere, and that's your power chord. Yeah, that's why they do that kind of drop tuning.
He really did pick the right tunes to use for examples of each interval, because these are ones that everybody's familiar with, and once you recognize that sound and you associate it to that tune, you start to realize that interval.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And the more you recognize, as soon as you recognize that interval, and the more you can kind of lock into that kind of thing, the better your ears get over time. And that's where, like, I'll be sitting there listening to a song I've heard 100 times, and new parts that I haven't heard before or haven't noticed really before jump out at me now, because I'm so used to picking a song apart in my head when I hear it, that I can hear, I focus in on this sound, and I focus in on that sound, and I focus in on this one, and kind of hear what each thing is doing. And how I would mix it, for example, like, a little bit less of this or a little bit more of that. But I'm also not picky about it, like as long as I can hear everything. The idea is that I can focus in on each one, and that tells me that it's mixed well enough that I can hear each element and get locked in with it.
Yeah, it's funny. The one that fucks me up the most is the one that should be the easiest, the octave.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I always feel like it should be something else. Like, in my head, I'm thinking like, oh, it's more complicated than it. Oh, it's just an octave. Oh, Somewhere Over the Rainbow took me forever to figure out that.
Yep. I've seen people have the same struggles on bass even, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was like, not an octave.
Yep. And that's where, again, it is one of the last things that you'll try sometimes. But once you get used to recognizing it, then it really, does have that nice, solid sound to it compared to all the other intervals. Kind of sliding through them all. Now I had the.
That's a good way to train your brain on intervals.
Oh yeah.
Like Sam Jam.
Yep. And not only that, but we have another one that kind of ties in with that, and that would be the vocal training video that we have, which goes into, this is kind of matching your voice and your keys and getting into just, if that was like the first 5 notes of the C major scale, for example, but getting locked in and getting a vocal warm up, figuring out how to warm up your voice, figuring out how to match, training of your voice. Some good stuff here as well.
Yeah, this was, let me see if I can bring up her website while you, if you want to bring up the picture.
Yeah, I think it was Singio. Let me see here. Find that one from the YouTube page here. I started following that one just recently, as a matter of fact.
Because I really liked her website, her YouTube channel.
Yep. It's right here. So, do it that way and this way. There you go.
Yeah, she has tons of good vocal tips and songwriting tips. What a resource.
Singio.
And look, she covers Judas Priest. She's a cool chick.
Exactly. And even just on the main videos page here, there's definitely lots of good stuff to check out. Like you said, Judas Priest, got Boomerang, Louder Isn't Always Better, Mistakes, just all kinds of exercises.
Utilizing TikTok in the vocal singing TikToks of 2022. Which you're going to see a lot of singers, utilizing these shorts like that to show off their voice.
Yep. Over here in pitch training, and that could be the one. I'm not sure if that's the one that I think that is the one we have lined up, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, that is the one.
All right. And again, lots of good resources here, lots of good videos, you'll see how the format goes, and just good information, good stuff that's going to help me with my voice. I've actually started doing some of the exercises from the video that we're about to watch when I was driving around. Just, I usually have the same CD just playing all the time. So this time I just, as I was driving somewhere, I just turned the CD off and just did, these vocal warm-up exercises for, 10, 15 minutes as I was driving around, and it was very cool.
Yeah, it's one of the few times you can practice music while you're driving in traffic.
Yep. Harmonica was one of the other ways, but I don't have my harmonicas at the moment, so I'll figure it out another time.
And I do love these vocal tips on YouTube. That's of all the different resources musicians can find out there, YouTube is chock full of vocal tips for all you singers.
Absolutely. So let's give this one a check out here. And this is, it's called Fix Your Pitch in 10 Minutes Vocal Lesson. Singio.
And welcome. This routine is for any of you that are concerned about pitch. What I've learned as a vocal coach is that developing great pitch has as much to do with muscle coordination as it does with our ears. So we're going to be working on 2 types of exercises: short staccato sounds to help us build accuracy, as well as freedom exercises to help you access your high notes as well as your low notes without any strain. Now, before we get started, I just wanted to tell you, if you're interested in learning more about your voice, how to have accurate pitch, how to be in control of your instrument, we've got an amazing free resource for you called the Singing Starter Kit. So I'm going to make sure that's linked up for you here, and let's dive in. Okay, the first exercise we're going to be working on is a very ugly exercise. We're going to stick out our tongues and we're going to say ah, ah, ah. We want this note to be short, we want it to be staccato, and we want it to be sort of strong, connected. So it's going to sound like this. Ah, 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 ah. That's it. And we're going to move it up. Low voices can join me here. Keep it going. It can sound kind of like a cry. dancing around helps. Just a couple more. Last one. All right, the next exercise we're gonna do is a creaky sound. We're gonna do it with our mouths closed. And if you wanna do a little tension check, take your thumbs, place them underneath your chin, swallow, and then notice if you feel something sort of pushing against your thumbs. Those are the muscles that we want to keep relaxed as we do this exercise, so just kind of sort of mentally try to turn them to jelly as you sing through. We're gonna start here, and for low voices, down here, and they'll sound like this. Doesn't have to be loud, but it does have to be connected, so you don't want this. That's not what we're after. We want it nice and this is like target practice. Close your eyes if that helps. Now we'll head back down. Remember, this doesn't have to be pretty. This is supposed to be ugly. We're working on pitch accuracy here. Make it beautiful later. You can plug one ear if that helps to hear yourself better. Another thing you can do is use a microphone to sing your warm-ups into. There we go. So that's a great exercise to work on pitch accuracy, build muscle memory on individual notes, as well as check for tension. So we're gonna do the same thing, but this time we're gonna smooth them together. We're gonna keep that same bratty feeling. And when I say bratty, I mean the sound is kind of coming out your nose. A little vocal fry on the first note. If this gets hard, go back to those creaky feelings. Back down. It starts to feel tight or tense. Go back to those little staccato footprints. Why did I say footprints? Okay, because I was imagining little steps. The ground is hot. Mental imagery. Let's do a smooth one. There you go. So when we're working on pitch, one of the things I often hear from students is like, okay, I'm fine on the bottom end, but when I try to sing high, I kind of lose my voice or I can't find the notes. And oftentimes that's because we get a little too tense. So we have to free things up, which is why I wanted to work on what I like to call a freedom exercise. So do this with me. We're just gonna go, whoo! And we're gonna pretend like we're at a sporting event. We're really excited. We're cheering on our favorite team. Woo! That's sort of the feeling we want. It's not tight and tense, it's free. Woo! So we're gonna be singing goo. So the G is gonna help us to connect to the note. The oo is gonna help us to sort of set it free. And it's gonna sound like this. Goo, 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 goo. So you don't want goo, 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 goo. That's not what we're after. We're after short, accurate notes that feel easy. Goo, 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 goo. And if you have a low voice, you can start here. Goo, goo, goo. I cannot sing that low. So let's try it together. Goo, 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 goo. Goo, 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 goo. If you get vibrato on the bottom, it's even better. Let's keep it going. Goo, 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 goo. Goo, 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 goo. Goo, 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 goo. Goo, 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 goo. Use the G to help. Now we're gonna do that one more time, and this time let's try a K on the front, and just notice if that feels easier or more challenging for you. So we're gonna be singing coo, 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 coo. Coo, 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 coo. It's a subtle difference, but it can make the difference. Coo, 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 coo. Coo, 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 coo. Make sure you're getting grounded on the bottom. Coo, coo, we don't want to hear. Coo, 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 coo. there. You hear the difference? Coo, 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 coo. Coo, 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 coo. One more. Coo, 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 coo. You got it. All right, so the next exercise we're gonna work on sounds like this. Gug, 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 gug. And this is sort of a balance or a coming together of everything we've done so far. So we did those more ugly exercises to develop confidence and settle into certain pitches. And then we worked on the freedom exercise to make sure we don't have any tension and we can access our higher notes. And so now we're taking an exercise where we're starting up high, gug, 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 and we're moving it back down and allowing that experience to feel a little bit different in our body as we work through, making sure we don't get in the way with tension and we don't let go on the bottom. We don't want gug, 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 gug. That's not getting enough stability. If that's happening, try and then you'll find it. Then you can put the word back on it. Gug, 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 gug. So we don't want grippy on the top. Gug, we don't want that. Gug, gug, gug. And again, if you're struggling here, just make a creaky sound. And it'll help you to find that balance. Okay, let's work through this one. Gug, 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 gug. Keep them short. Gug, 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 gug. No need to get shouty on the top note. It's just nice and light but connected. So not gug, gug, we don't want that. We want gug, 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 gug. Gug, 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 gug. Couple more. Gug, 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 gug. And if you're looking at make sure your tongue is forward and you're not tensing. Back to gug. Gug, 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 gug. Woo! Okay, so that's headed up. Let's head back down. Gug, 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 gug. You're in control of how much or how little you give this exercise. So play with different volumes and intensities to find something that feels balanced for you. Gug, 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 gug. And this, gug, 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 gug. That hand motion forward helps me to think that I'm moving forward. So you can try that. Gug, 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 gug. We're not going up and down, we're going straight ahead. Gug, 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 gug. Amazing! All right, that's your routine for pitch accuracy. It was short, it was sweet, it was effective. Repeat this daily. So we've got a little treat for you with some downloadable MP3s below this video that you can use to practice along. And if you're inside the membership, you can use this in our routine section where you can adjust the tempo, you can adjust the ranges to make it suit your voice perfectly. So make sure you're taking advantage of that. All right, happy practicing, and I'll see you around.
So many good tips in there and techniques.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I hadn't.
And that's the idea. A little taste of a bunch of it there. Yeah.
I hadn't seen the gug before. That one was new to me.
Yeah. And that's the ones, again, like I was doing that while I was driving around, and just, it's nothing crazy, nothing, nothing mind shattering or anything, but it's just stuff that will help you, and stuff that's, what I really liked was the connecting it to the instrument as well. Like the, playing actual notes and getting, the notes and the voice together, getting to where you're, you can anticipate the note you're going to play with the voice, or you can anticipate the, the voice with what your note you're going to play. Get to that point where you can just say, an A, and be able to just like hit an A, but be able to hit it vocally as a guess, boom, A vocally, and then hit it on the keyboard and be right. Like that would be perfect pitch. Relative pitch is being able to hit the note and then being able to sing that note after hearing it. That's, another good skill. So being able to just hit a note and, check your range. Can you get that low G? Can you get this middle B? Can you get this high D? It's figuring out where you're trying to get to, and, locking, again, the instrument and the vocals together, I think is important for being able to develop both.
Yeah, and I liked her emphasis on developing, better accuracy. The whole purpose of those exercises was to develop better pitch accuracy in your vocals.
Yeah. Exactly.
Her tip of like, if you can't hear it, and cover your ears, fold
Yep.
your ears.
Holding the ear. Yep. Yep.
That can help. Sometimes some people have a tough time with pitch, and relative to their voice, depends whether they're hearing themselves from, what do they call it, your head voice.
Head voice.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that kind of makes you hear your head voice when you do that.
Another place I've seen it used is with people on stage. If they're having difficulty hearing the other singers and they're trying to harmonize, sometimes they'll hold one ear closed so that they'll be able to hear their own voice, even like if they don't have enough of their own voice in their monitor,
Yeah,
so they can't tell.
like
They're trying to sing on pitch, but they can't hear
It's like
themselves.
half monitoring, just so you can hear what's going on in your head.
Exactly. So your other ear is getting everything else from the room, but then you're able to close off that one and only hear what you have in your head. It'll sound a little different because you're closing it off like that. It'll be that muffled sound, but it should help you at least, control what tone you're hitting, or making sure that you're hitting your target tone, I should say.
Yeah, and these kinds of tips aren't just useful for vocalists for singing. Any of you actors out there, or those who are trying to get into performance arts and acting, these exercises are just as you will see actors and actresses do these exercises before they go film, so that they get better enunciation, expression. Like this helps, and also helps to open up, like what she was saying at the beginning. Just getting ready for the role.
Yeah, actors, actresses, podcasters. I mean, that's another one. Getting your voice warmed up for what you're doing. Anybody who works with their voice for what they're doing.
Yeah, and what I've got there, that's the SHHhhh.com website, where you will find even more resources and lesson plans, and she's a very good teacher.
That's this one.
Yeah. This is the SHHhhh.com website, and method. Vocal coaches, songs to practice. I mean, this is a great resource.
Yeah, nice. And this other page that I had here was the YouTube page, which is actually SHHhhh Official, for the actual at SHHhhh Official. You'd recognize it though after seeing the one video. It's official.
We like this one.
And we do like it. A lot of good stuff there. That might have been, that was more of an exercise rather than a, performance piece. But the idea was to understand, how these things can help you. As Tony was saying, a lot of good tips right in that one little video. And just, like I said, came across it recently and I was impressed by what I saw, and started putting them into practice, and I'm enjoying it. So good stuff.
Yeah, she has a nice, easy approach. Very easy to follow with. I'm not a singer, but she makes me feel like I could be.
Yep. Exactly. And these are some early steps. And again, just the interval recognition in combination with this, the two work together in a good way as well.
Yeah, you saw how she was like, use the G to help you here as you're dropping down.
Exactly.
I also liked how she was just giving that little visual example on the bottom with the keyboard. Not so much focusing on the notes, but just focusing on the down swing, the projection.
Yeah. It's important, and that's a lot of different things, and just even little tips that she was calling out as she's doing each one as she feels it, like, oh, make sure it's relaxed in here, and everything else. Like each of the steps, each of the tips that she's giving throughout are useful and helpful for what you're doing. You can check your range with this, seeing you go up and down a couple octaves here, a couple octaves there, depending on where you're starting, where your voice should sit. Like for me, I haven't really figured out exactly. I mean, I know my voice is very deep, so I can do very low notes.
Subwoofer.
And it's just like with my bass, like my bass can get down pretty low with that low B, and my voice gets down there too, where it's almost, it could be a lower note that you can really even hear or appreciate. Like if I have a cold, it's like, oh, I got a stuffy nose, so you can't hear me at all. Or if I just wake up in the morning, that whole thing drops another note or two.
Okay, say, yo, Adrian, we did it.
Yo, Adrian. Little too low, but yeah. That's the thing is, I'd have to be like running around all active and jumping around, run up by the statue, dun, 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 dun.
And I was going to say another useful thing that you inadvertently practice while you practice these exercises is timing. Like you're not only improving your pitch accuracy, but your timing just gets better doing these exercises because it's a timed procedure.
Yep. And just, you also locking what you're doing singing with what you're playing. And just working your way up, maybe 3 notes at a time, 5 notes at a time. I think she was doing 5 at a time there.
Well,
figuring out
was doing
voice.
scale training, like sliding the scale up, doing the exercise again, sliding the scale up, doing the exercise again. If you do that, I mean, if you are really serious as a singer, it does not hurt to do these things. There's a lot of singers who are like, I don't need to, or I don't want to. I'm a one-track take kind of singer. That's all fine and dandy, but if you do want to get better, this stuff does not hurt.
Yeah. And even what she was doing right there, if she was just taking, let's say, for example, the first 5 notes, if it was, starting with C major, then trying to do it, the next thing she would do is C major, C sharp major. So, you have to know your scales in order to do these things. This is helping out for the keyboard part, at least the first 5 notes of each scale at least. You got to know what you're hitting. So, yeah. And you're just moving up 1 note at a time. But each time you're moving up, you're getting a different series of sharps and flats, which is, again, one of the big differences between keyboard and guitar or bass, the stringed instruments, where you can just slide up a fret and do the same claw, same shape, and it'll be, the same phrase. Whereas on the keyboard, you're getting a different series of sharps and flats. Got to change your fingering. Gets confusing, and it's very easy to trip yourself up on keyboard.
And when you're doing,
but once you kind of get it into your ear, you know what you're supposed to hear, so you can fix it very quickly.
Yeah, and when you're doing it with your voice, it helps you to recognize what you're supposed to hear because you're hearing your voice. When you do it with your voice that way, again, you only develop it faster.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to know what note you're singing to sing it. It helps, but you don't have to know. The singers have that luxury where, note recognition isn't as important for a vocalist as it is for somebody playing an instrument where they have to know at least some idea of like a note that they're playing.
Yeah, being able to harmonize, being able to come up with a good backing vocal line to sing. And what words to do it on and when not to, because you don't necessarily, as a backup singer, you wouldn't want to necessarily just double everything the singer is doing. Well, I end up falling into that trap a lot if I'm trying to figure out how to sing.
That's where interval recognition and some note recognition does come in handy. A singer that wants to be able to sing multi-layered melodies does want, like, if you can recognize the bass note that you're singing, being able to sing a third or a fifth above it, is the next step.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily have to know what that note is, C to G, but knowing that when you're on,
you have to feel it in context.
Yeah, singers are more feeler musicians than any other musician on that stage.
Yeah. And again, being able to feel what note should be there and being able to get into it, and just knowing, at this point the singer's going to go high, and as the second backing voice, are you going to be above that, or are you going to be below that? What are you going to harmonize it, or the same note an octave lower, or is it going to be the third to the fifth, like you said, one of the other chord tones?
Yeah, it depends.
To get the entire chord
Depends if
shape.
you're doing like Van Halen backup vocals or.
Yep. Or others. Because it'll definitely change depending on the style of music, for sure.
Yeah, or Bon Jovi, actually, now that I think of it. They would either sing an octave above or a fifth. And get that, like, power chord kind of sound with vocals.
Nice. Always a good thing. Always gets the toe tapping, for sure. Never a slow song in the bunch.
We'll have to dig up some videos on, like, a barbershop quartet vocal techniques.
Yeah,
we'll have
I have a couple of people in mind for that.
Singing night.
Yeah, for sure.
Acapella and barbershop are going to be a part of it.
Nice. I have a couple in mind for that already. What's up, Salvatore?
Salvatore.
We were just going over some vocal things from Singio. Singio Official, it was the YouTube, and that's singio.com, I believe it was, that Tony has up right there. We have one more video for tonight. We got a little time left, but
And
we got one more
if you
that we're
guys
going to be
want to
doing.
catch up on any of these videos, they'll be in the description over on YouTube tomorrow, and you can always rewatch, find the links to the artists, the pages, the videos that we watched. Like, share, and subscribe to them. These are awesome
Absolutely.
resources.
Yep. And the more that you investigate resources like this and start looking into what they have to offer, then the more of these are going to come up in your feed. You'll find other related resources. This is where we find, a lot of these good finds. If I had no idea how to find some of them, they just come up in my feed because of the fact that I'm watching so many videos while doing, research for the show to figure out what kinds of things I want to bring to you guys. Sometimes it's, we don't want to go revisit the same ones all the time, but we do like to visit similar topics being viewed in a different way. Some people have a different approach or a different something new sinks in from that.
Some learn this way, some learn that way.
Yep. And a lot of it is just, you might click better with one teacher than another. You might see one video and be like, oh, I don't want to see that. And, well, maybe then that one wasn't for you, but there are other people in the audience who might really click with that particular person that we show. And, that's what they needed to get a little push and just get something, start working on their voice or start, doing some practice where they really can start linking just by having a couple notes on a keyboard or a couple notes on a guitar or a bass, whatever's handy. You can start locking in to, start exploring because there's a lot you can do.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit out there on YouTube, and hopefully, like, some of this will help you find those gems.
Absolutely.
And as you subscribe to them, the beauty of that YouTube algorithm is it does start to like nudge similar content in a very useful way. My YouTube suggestions have improved tenfold since you started sending me things.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, just follow your interests, and this is something that you can go down a lot of different rabbit holes to, discover a lot of different things, and a lot of new things come up, like that instrument that we looked at earlier, the Arpeggi, and the company that was from. Like that came up as just one of my one of the random ones, and I think it was even one of the YouTube shorts that came up. But I haven't really usually don't bother with because I'm usually looking at actual other full articles and whatnot.
Real videos.
well, it's just the vertical. I never really liked the whole vertical video thing.
I'm not
Give me
a
the
big
whole
fan of vertical, but if it's got some good shit in the vertical, I'll watch it.
Yeah. And I saw that instrument in the vertical, and I'm like, wait. And so I watched it. And I'm like, okay, no, I got to go look at this. And then I was like, no, Tony's got to see that.
And you want to see it in all its glory, wide.
Yeah, exactly. Be able to see exactly what's going on there because I mean, just from the picture when I first saw it, I'm like, I could kind of tell what's going on there with that many strings. It's like, well, it's certainly not in the usual tunings. Otherwise, you'd be like so many octaves away that you'd be out of useful territory very quickly.
Oh, and anytime
the outer strings would be no good.
Anytime you see something with that many strings, I don't care what it is, I'm gonna want to know. Like 24 strings.
Yep, they had a 16. They had, I'm assuming, 16, a 20, a 24. Somebody was asking in the chat earlier if they had, if they would make one. It might have been you asking if they would make a really, custom, really, really big one if you wanted, like 40 strings or 36 strings or whatever. I mean, I don't know if it would be more useful at that point because again, if it's got 24 strings going across already, and if as you're going across, it's going up by a whole step already, you could go a couple of octaves by going that way, and you're getting again out of useful territory once you get beyond a certain number. But with the different hand grips for the different chords, it just looks like you'd be able to pick it up very quickly. Having any knowledge at all of piano or guitar, I think would make the whole thing make sense in different ways for either one.
And actually having like 4 people sit around it, some that play piano, some that play guitar, is just an incredible idea.
Yeah, and some of them, like if you're not using all the strings right there, somebody can just be doing the whole palm muting where it's actually using it as a percussion instrument. And you can just by muting you can do that. They did that in part of one of the videos as well, showing that just by tapping the strings you can get that muted sound that'll get you just a percussive tap.
And some people really do like instruments that are tap based like that. To be able to utilize that over on the keyboard and guitar side is a fun idea. It's like playing bongos and guitar at the same time.
Yep. I've seen some, and actually there was a new acoustic guitar player that I saw last week. I'll find the video probably for next week, but I'll have to check and see what it was. But he did a couple of cover songs, and just the style that he did the cover in was amazing. And the finger style and the ability to basically be keeping a bass line running through the song while doing chords and while accentuating and while doing melody lines and all that. No singing. It was just no singing, no talking, just playing the acoustic, and it sounds like just a room recording of the one time through, and just impressive. I mean, really, really good. I'll have to find it again because I lost the artist name in my head at the moment. But it was about the style and the fact that you can just do so much with just an acoustic and just accompanying yourself just by breaking the chord apart, thinking about the bass line and what it would be doing, and doing that as a part, and then figuring out what you would do chord-wise as a part, and then figuring out how to kind of blend them together, even at very slow speed, and working it together as a part until you can get it to where you can really work it together. It just kind of opened up my eyes to being able to play fingerstyle guitar in kind of a different way, where you're really covering all the different parts and just doing it all it looks like he's not working at all. It's just
you can really cover all that by yourself with an acoustic guitar. These are the musicians who can just go open mic, just a guitar in hand, and capture the audience. Like Jake. Jake, you give him a guitar,
exactly.
Let him sit somewheres, and I could listen to him for hours with just that combination.
Exactly. And that's one of the videos that we have tonight. It's not Jake. That'll be another night. But we have one left here. It's the one with the orange shirt here, and it is on Acoustic Rhythms, Creative Ways to Fill the Space. And this is also just a lesson, episode 509 from the series that he's got there. But it has
Active Melody.
I believe it is, yes. Yep.
Yeah, he's at Active Melody on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I like when they have the same @ names.
Yeah, it definitely makes it a lot easier. It makes it a lot easier. All right, and here it is. Acoustic Rhythms, Creative Ways to Fill the Space.
Alright, so in this week's guitar lesson, we're going to take a look at an acoustic rhythm that has a lot of fill licks, and it's very slow, so there's a lot of space in between the notes. And what I like about this is that pretty much anyone can follow along with this. There's nothing really technical that can hold you back or might hold you back. There's not a lot of fast picking or any of that. And the whole point of this lesson, for me anyway, was I wanted to write something that has just some real simple chords. So it's got a G, an F, and then a C. And then it goes back to the G chord. So G, F, and C for the first part anyway. There's just a couple other chords in the second part. But what can you do with basic chords like that to make a song sound interesting if you have an acoustic guitar part? With acoustic guitar, you don't have the effects to fall back on or any of that. So it's sort of like you're left to just come up with some notes that fill the space in a creative way. And that's what we're going to talk about as we break down this lesson, just give you some ideas for how to do that. So in this video, we're going to break down all of the lesson material. If you'd like to get the extras that come with the lesson, so the MP3 jam track, the tablature, the on-screen tab viewer, all those extra things that will allow you to practice everything we're going to talk about, you can get those things by going to activemelody.com. Go to the weekly lessons page and do a search for EP509. Now, I mentioned that there was no effects used. I should take that back because I did add a little bit of reverb to the acoustic track sort of after the fact. Obviously not when I'm playing it, but when I listened to it, I thought it just needed to fatten up the sound a little bit. But it's not necessary, so you don't have to be thinking about effects or anything. Just grab whatever guitar you've got, even if it's an electric guitar, you can make it work with this. This guitar, by the way, is a 1948 Martin 00021. People always ask about that. I love this guitar. It's set up perfectly. The intonation on it is fantastic. The action is great. It rings forever. And that was probably the reason I chose this guitar for this song, is I wanted something that just has a lot of sustain and will ring out. And so this is my go-to guitar for that kind of thing. All right, let's listen to the first part of this and then we'll talk about it. All right, so as I mentioned, the chords that we're going to be playing over are a G, an F, a C, and then we go back to the G. So what I did for the first two chords anyway was I just played the chord. I just went like this. For the G chord, I just strummed the chord. Now I'm playing the G chord using the E shape here out of the Cage system. We're going to be repurposing a lot of the Cage system as we talk about this, these chord voicings, and I'll be kind of calling those out as we get into them. But anyway, this first one's the E shape. Then we go down to play the F chord. Just slide that down 2 frets. And then I went like this. All right, and so what's going on there? Now remember that third chord was a C. So we played the G, we played the F, and then that next chord is a C. But instead of playing the C, I went like this. So what is that? That is a C sus4. Now I talked about sus chords in a recent lesson. I'll put that up on the screen if you're interested in that. But basically, that's what I'm doing, is I'm playing a C sus4. It has that sort of unresolved sound, and it's perfect. These sus chords are great for this kind of slow, spacey sound. It's kind of what I like to fall back on. Now I don't use a lot of other sus chords in this. I think that's the only suspended chord I'm using. But anyway, I did the C sus4, and then I walked down from that 3rd fret 4th string down to here, down to the 2nd fret 4th string, and played 4 and 3, just 2 notes out of the C chord. So that's like your C. So it's like a C sus4 and then your C. But we're only playing strings 4, 3, and 2, right? And then I landed on that note, which is my open D string, or my D note. And that's where the song goes back to the G chord. Why did that note work? Well, it's one of the notes in the G chord. Your notes in your G chord are G, B, and D. So I just hit the D note. So we have 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the timing of that, I should mention that, this little C sus4, it comes in on the and of 4. So it's like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That's where it comes in. A little ahead of the beat. All right, so this next lick kind of cracks me up a little bit because it's total bluegrass lick. It's the G run. So I just worked it in. It's sort of like my fingers naturally go there a lot of times just because, I don't know, if I hear a G chord, I can't help myself. I love it so much. So I played this. And then slid up to that G note up here. Now the way I'm playing that is ring finger on the 3rd fret 6th string to hit that G note, and then your index comes to the 1st fret 5th string, and you do a quick slide up to the 2nd fret. So you go like this. And then you hit your open 4th string, that D note. And then 2nd fret 4th string up to your open G note on the 3rd string. So, and then you match that note on the 4th string by sliding up to the 5th fret. So you've got that open G ringing out, and then you go. Seems kind of weird when you're just talking it out like that. It doesn't seem like it would work. But when you hear it with the jam track, it does kind of fit. It might be a little too bluegrassy for your taste. If that's the case, then just take some of it out. I don't know, change it. That's what's great about this is you have the ability to do that. But what I'm thinking about as I kind of talk this through is I think about each of these pieces kind of like Legos, and so each chord has its own little piece, and so this represents the G chord. That's my little piece that I'm plugging in for the G chord. That means going forward, if you like that sound, even on something slow and pretty like this, or something driving in fast, if there's a G chord that shows up in something you're playing, you've got some notes that you can work with, and you can plug in that piece and use that for yourself. So after I slide up to that G note, I just let it hang out there for a little bit. Then I played. Now I played that as the song goes to the F chord. So I'm on the 4th fret 3rd string. I do a hammer onto the 5th fret 3rd string, back to the 4th fret, and then the 5th fret 4th string. Very simple to play, and it works perfectly over that F chord as the song goes to the F chord. Now, why do those notes work? Well, I was thinking about G Mixolydian scale, because when you've got this chord progression, a 1 chord going down 2 frets this way, you've got Mixolydian. That's, I don't know a better way to say it, but you'll kind of learn this stuff as you the more of it you do. But Mixolydian scale is just the major scale, but you flat the 7. That's the easiest way to say it. So it's, hear that flatted 7? It gives you a little bit more of a blues sound. But when your chords are going from a G to an F, and then even the C that's in there, that G Mixolydian scale is kind of the perfect scale for that. That's like a Mixolydian sound. And all of this comes from just hearing intervals. The more of this you do, even if you totally don't get it yet, you just have to keep doing it, because those intervals start to stick in your head, and you'll hear those little flat 7s, when to do a flat 7 versus when not to do a flat 7. And your fingers will actually know kind of before your head does. That's where it gets kind of weird. It's just sort of like they'll just sort of feel their way through it. But anyway, this little, that doesn't seem like a scale, but it's coming from that G Mixolydian scale. That's where my brain was. Then the song goes from the F to the C, and then back to the G. So when it goes to the C, I played, and then it goes down to the G, and I went. So where do those notes come from? They come from G Mixolydian. Look at this. Right, so I wasn't like putting my head totally into it, but my fingers kind of knew what to do. They knew, you know, kind of where to go and even what to land on. So I landed on this B note. That's not a note you might think about landing on when you're playing over a G chord, but it works because remember the 3 notes in your G chord are a G, a B, and a D. So you can land on any of those notes and it's going to sound good. And if you feel frustrated as I explain some of this stuff, like how am I ever going to learn all this stuff, the notes to land on and all of that, just take it sort of piecemeal as it's fed to you. So like as you learn that you can land on a B note for a G chord, file that away somewhere and it'll come back at some point. You may not know all the notes you can land on for all the chords, but don't try and do that. Just try and get the little piece that you've learned. So for a G chord, you've learned a couple of things. You've learned the little G run, the little bluegrass thing. You've also learned a little piece of Mixolydian scale landing on the B note. These are little things that sort of add up over time. And to me, that's where improvising comes from. It's all these little nuggets that you sort of, you know, you learn from somebody or somewhere and you just kind of file them away. You'll forget half of them, probably forget more than half of them, but some of them will stick. Okay, so this next run goes. Now it seems like a lot, but you're gonna realize that it's just a few things at play here. So when I started, look at what's going on there. Remember, this is where the song goes back to the G chord. So this is just another little G idea, another one that you can file away. All I'm doing is I'm playing the arpeggio. I'm walking up the notes of the G chord. So, but I'm sliding into that third interval. It's just to give it a little bit of extra character, I guess. You could slide into any of those notes, by the way, but I chose the third one. So I walked up the notes of the G chord. That's the G chord out of the E shape here. So it's 2, 1, 2, barred on the 3rd fret. And then, let's look at that. That's a slide from the 5th fret 2nd string up to the 6th fret. And then we played the 5th fret 1st string. Now, where is that coming from? Well, that's coming, I'll give you 2 ways to look at this. One is it's still Mixolydian scale. There's that flat 7, so you have, hear it? So, but the other way you can think about it is, remember we're playing over the F chord at this point? Look at these notes. Oh, there's your little F triad, it's using that D shape. Maybe a light bulb went off for somebody. But these 2 notes are just 2 notes out of that F chord. So are they out of G Mixolydian? Yes. Are they also 2 notes that just happen to be in the F chord? Yes. So either way, they're going to fit perfectly over that F chord. So we have this then for the G chord. There's our F chord. Then the song goes to the C chord, and I went, now what's that? So that's sliding up to the 5th fret 2nd string from a half step down, so from 4th fret. And then playing the 5th fret 3rd string. Now what are these 2 notes? Well, let's think about our chord shapes. We're playing the C chord here. So I was just thinking about my C chord using the A shape from the Cage system, which is right here. And if I look at strings 2 and 3 out of that little triad there, that's all I'm doing. So I was just thinking about my chord. I wasn't even thinking about a scale. And I did the same thing for the next note that I play after that, which is, so then the song goes back to the G chord. I'm thinking about my G chord again, right here, using the E shape. Only strings 2 and 3 though. I just slid into that. Why did I choose strings 2 and 3? Probably because I just played strings 2 and 3 for the C chord. I'm lazy like that. Okay, so those same chords are going to repeat again. We have our G, F, C, and then back to the G. So for the G, this time I came up here and played a G chord using that D shape. So that looks like that, where your G note is on that 8th fret 2nd string. So I played this, and then I added this little embellishment to it that goes, right? And what I'm playing there is, it's really just notes from the scale again, but I didn't think about scale. I was just kind of feeling my way around with my pinky there. As a embellishment, I guess, off of that chord shape. So the pinky goes to the 8th fret 1st string, slide up to the 10th fret 1st string, and then back to the 8th fret. So it goes like this. That's a little tricky to do to make it sound clean. In fact, when I did that the first time, I think I screwed it up, so I had to do that a couple of times to get that right. And then I came down 2 frets because the next chord is an F chord. So remember, if we look at what's going on here, for example, G chord, F chord. It's the same shape, we just go down 2 frets. So there's your cue. So in other words, if this is a G chord, we just go down 2 frets. So if I'm playing a G chord up here, I just go down 2 frets. So you can, follow the same logic all the way through. So just pick the notes out of it. 1, 2, 3. And then it goes to the C chord. And I just played it like this. So that's out of your A shape. or your G shape, however you're thinking about it. But it's the triad there. Strings 2, 3, and 4 on the 5th fret. A little embellishment off of that, and then back to my G chord using the E shape. Only strings 2, 3, and 4 though. See, I'm matching what I did here. Strings 2, 3, and 4, 2, 3, and 4. So when I came down to this G chord here, I went, played the G sus4. So to add another little embellishment. Basically, I was copying what I did for the C chord. There's your C with your little C sus4, and then I did the same thing for the G. And my pinky goes down on the 5th fret, 3rd string to create that. Now this is where the song changes gears, and we add some different chords. So the next chord set, these are basic chords. We have a D chord, then it goes to an E minor, then it goes to a C, then back to our G. And then we repeat that, back to the E minor. But then it goes to an A minor, and then to a D, which is the 5 chord of G, and brings us back to our G, and we can start the cycle over again. Now let's look at that. So we're going to be playing over a D now, and then an E minor. Those are our next 2 chords. So remember, we were on our G here. We did our little sus4 thing. And then, so the next chord is a D. In keeping with this theme of playing strings 2, 3, and 4, like we did here and here, I did the same thing here. Look at this. For the D chord. So that's my D chord. I'm using the C shape from the Cage system, right? But I'm only playing strings 2, 3, and 4, so that's all I need. I don't even need to use my pinky. But hopefully you can see where that's coming from. Here's your D chord the way you know it, right? But we're playing this little piece of it. So I played that D chord, just strummed it once, 2, 3, 4. Then my E minor, just strum that and let it ring out. And then the next little phrase or fill lick that I played, as the song goes from a C to a G, I played this. Let's look at the notes there. We're going to do a hammer on between the 2nd fret and the 4th fret on the 4th string. And then while that note rings out, actually that 4th fret, 4th string, go ahead and hit the 3rd string, which is your open G note. And it kind of creates a little dissonance between those 2 notes. And then you walk it back down, 4-2, open 4th string, open 5th string, and then the 2nd fret, 5th string. So now what is going on there? Now remember, in the first part, which was G, F, C, G, the only scale I mentioned was G mixolydian. Now for this, since the chords have changed, we've kind of switched gears here a little bit. We have a D and an E minor, C, and G. So the scale I'm going to use for this would be G major. So because those chords are all in the G family, the E minor would be your relative minor, would be your 6th chord. Your D chord would be like your 5 chord. Your C chord would be your 4 chord, and so forth. So the G major scale is going to work perfectly in this situation. That's why when you hit this note, that's your 7th interval, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But it's the correct 7th interval from your major scale versus the flat 7, like from mixolydian. See, that wouldn't have worked. That wouldn't have sounded right if I played the flatted 7 versus. So anyway, that's what's going on there with those notes. So then it goes back to the D chord. And what I played to get back to the D chord, note-wise, was just walked it up 2, 3, 4 on the 5th string, and then up to my open D string on the 4th string there. And that's really just a chromatic move. So I'm just walking it up. Now once I hit that open 4th string, let it ring out, and then I go ahead and put my fingers in position to play the D chord, but I left my middle finger out of it, so I let that open E string ring out. So you have that sound. That's a D sus 2. And again, these sus chords sound pretty in something slow like this, and it just sort of has a real pretty chimey sound. I actually used more of them than I thought. I said at the beginning I only used one, but actually I'm seeing that I've used quite a few of these suspended chords. So I played that. Now the next chord is the E minor. I could have went back to the E minor down here, but to give you another option, I came up here and hit my E minor here. I was thinking about my E minor using that A minor shape. It's a little stair step. 7th fret, 8th fret, 2nd string, 9th fret, 3rd string. 7th fret's on the 1st string. Okay, now the next chord after that is an A minor. And I played it here. You thinking about my E minor shape, right? So, little embellishment with my pinky. 7th fret, 1st string, take that off, and then 8th fret, 2nd string. And then watch this. I played my D chord there. And that's using the same thing we did for the C chord. Remember that little triad? Doing it here. Now, so I'm thinking about my D chord using the A shape or the G shape, but it's just the triad. So I hit that there, and then I can repeat. That's where the song would repeat. You go back to your G chord, F, so forth. There's a lot of information. Even though this was just a few chords, I wanted to give you lots of different options. And that's what this is all about. It's just, I mean, some of these you're going to already know how to do. Some of these maybe you're looking at it from a different angle. Some of this stuff maybe you've never even thought about before. But the whole idea is just to get you thinking about, oh yeah, okay, so instead of playing a G chord, I've got that option, or I've got, right, or I've got that option. You've got options to substitute for chords. I think that's what this is all about, just finding substitutes so that you're not just going like this. Right? That's the whole idea behind improvising. All right, well, I hope you've enjoyed this. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, if you're watching this on YouTube and you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, click that alert bell, then you can be notified when I put out new lessons, which I do every week. All right, make sure you check out Active Melody as well if you haven't done that. All right, we'll see you next week for something new.
Yeah, that's another new find that's going to be a great resource.
Absolutely. Now, this is the Active Melody YouTube channel on this side, and that's the webpage that you have open there. So this is Active Melody, or at Active Melody on YouTube, and that's the one that you have. Yep, is activemelody.com.
Yep, this one's the activemelody.com, where he has private lessons, weekly lessons. Definitely worth a check out, and teasers and instructions on YouTube as well.
Yep. Lots and lots. Things about visualizing, looking at the fretboard, things about, just, again, lots and lots of good stuff there, both under, just the homepage as well as under the videos.
Well, you know what I liked about that one is it was as much a songwriting tutorial as it was a guitar tutorial.
That's what I liked about it too, yeah.
Yeah, his arrangement approach and why he had this progression and then shifted to that progression. These are the things we don't get to talk as much about because we're so caught up in the progressions.
Yep. And also how, the visualization thing, the way he was locking things to the cage system without having to really break everything down, but just talking about, this shape, I'm thinking about the A shape, and then over here, the G shape, and just kind of visualizing those, understanding the cage system and seeing what he's talking about, and just taking those little 2-note phrases or even 3-note triads and just, figuring out which pieces of which chords to use from the Cage system to navigate your way around makes it so much easier and freeing, really. Because when you can just free yourself like that to not just play the chunk chords here and there and highlight the changes like that.
Isn't it ironic that it's called the Cage system, but it opens up your options?
Yeah. Yep. And
it really doesn't cage you in. Knowing that whole system really opens up your possibilities.
Yep. Using the C shape, the A shape, the G shape, the E shape, and the D shape for caged. Gets them all in there. And they go in that order as well, which is the other thing, so you can remember it in that way.
And you really can't go wrong when you're following it. Like, what you're playing is going to sound good to most people.
Exactly. And it helps you navigate the fretboard and understanding the intervals. And that's, again, going back to what we talked about earlier with interval training for your ear and, figuring out what you're hearing when you're listening to things so that you can figure out when you're hearing a sixth or when you're hearing the fifth. And understanding when you're going to the different chords, then figuring out very quickly that this is a 1-6-4-5 in the key of D, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're locked in. And then the other section, it's something different, but you can just lock into it. Now you got the song locked in by sections with just a moment of exposure to the way the progression goes, because you kind of figure how it goes. It sounds just like this song, which I know is a 1-6-4-5 or whatever.
And that's why we're going to keep drilling interval recognition. Weekly. Recognize. Gonna be a common theme every week.
It's very important. And again, activemelody.com for that one, and at Active Melody on YouTube. Just good nuggets there. Another one that I don't think we've talked about on the show before, so another one I wanted to get in there. It was a bit of a longer video, but it's one of the ones that, again, it wasn't so much an exercise of just do this, do this, do this. It had a lot of good material in there and good exposure to songwriting ideas, like you said, or just phrasing ideas for different things. And as somebody was saying before, they had, they got that Wicked Game feel during that one part of the progression, and there was a totally different feel in another part.
That intro, like he took Wicked Game and made it bright instead of having that like melodic, dreary sound that it typically has. The soloing approach he was taking to put on top of it. Was like a happy Wicked Game.
Yeah, exactly. It was a good choice of what things to add for that. And yeah, we had a lot of videos for today, and we didn't do a whole lot of talking, we didn't do a whole lot of playing, but we had a lot of videos to get through, and we actually did it. We managed to get it all done. Almost by midnight, a little bit over. Hope nobody. You gave her the glasses because you turned to look at her.
Well, she's that cool. She took the glasses.
Yeah. Well, just remember, you can steal them back if you want. We talked about that. Yeah, there you go. Boom. You stole her whole face, though. What'd you do?
I'm that good.
Yeah. But it's always good to see everybody. I'm glad people came out. Hopefully, some of these videos really, got the point across, or got exposed you to a new idea, or got you thinking about things in a different way, or seeing things in a different way on the fretboard, or with the vocal lessons that we talked about earlier. A lot of different subjects.
Find some of those good YouTube channels and that ocean of channels.
Exactly. I'm going to shoot my air conditioner. I get a shotgun next time and just put it out of its misery.
Oh, it sounded like it was getting ready to eat you.
Yeah, exactly. I was kind of leaning more away just because it's going to eat the microphone, if nothing else, for sure. And I don't like when it does that. But then again, I guess I probably shouldn't have the air conditioning on at midnight in March, right?
I just got a foot of snow today.
Yeah. It was actually 60.
Air conditioning.
It was 65 earlier outside, but according to this, it's still like 78 in here because I think the heat's fighting pretty hard. And I don't have the window open the way I used to because it would get a little drafty in here if it's open too much. So I've got to watch that.
Well, once the snow melts off my thermometer, I'll tell you how cold it is.
Exactly. But it's probably cold enough for snow, and plenty of snow. And, we don't really have any snow around here at the moment. But that's okay. Everybody gets it, and hopefully, you guys are used to it, and you got plenty of wood, stored up for the wood stoves, right?
Yes, we are going to have to reload at least 1 or 2 more times. Till spring finally decides to come.
Mm-hmm. And it won't be too long till that happens. We are in March. For a little bit longer still. But not too much longer. But
Well,
we got
all of this information warms my cockles.
yep, and gets
that was highly educational.
yeah, and hopefully it inspires people. It inspires people to again follow each of these. Follow any of them that click for you. Feel free to check out those subjects. A lot of them have a lot more things on there. Those are just little samples of what you can find on their channels.
Yeah, and if any of you have channels you think are good resources worth checking out, again, message us either our individual BandLab channels, and we also have a Talkin' IT BandLab channel, and you can message us that way too.
Exactly. And it's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure coming out. I'm going to probably wrap it up so we don't go too much over here.
Yes, Ange will come back with the stinky face.
And steal your glasses.
Now she looks happy.
She's going to grab those glasses right off your face.
Stop stealing my glasses, Ange.
There's that one I see behind you sometimes where I swear it looks like Cartman, but it's just the colors of whatever image it is. But it's just like, it just looks like you got Cartman on the back and they're behind you. And I'm like, wait, that's not usually what we see back there. But good stuff. And thanks everybody for coming out. And we will have links, like you said, for all these guys. And we will have more for you next week.
Yep.
I'm talking IT. Glenn and Tony.
Night, everyone.
Night. Ambient noise, yeah.
So now you're grabbing some BandLab clips.
Now for me that would also be something where I would use like volume automation and like bring that from the bottom, like bring it in and then bring it back out.
And these are the kinds of sounds you can scratch. With this AI, like scratching it actually can be cool.
Oh, that was perfect for the interlude too.
Ends it right in the right
I
spot.
didn't even notice. 40. I didn't even realize the texture faded out at the interlude until it happened. I'm like, wait a minute.
Sometimes you just, it was just meant to be that way.